Get that titty movement on. And we've begun. Ooh, tasty. Hello, and welcome to podcast number 18 of Deciphered. Deciphered podcast number 18. I know, bro. 2 weeks away from the big 20, assuming we survive that long. So, this week, Metal Hammer article on your phone, please, sir.
Oh, yes, because we have fucking news.
The news. So,
we actually have some news.
Whilst he prepares his anus for that news.
I mean, I'm preparing my lungs for this news.
Great. The first bit of news is, as I called last week, after mentioning Pick of Destiny 2,
Yeah.
Tenacious D have announced that they are releasing a new album.
Yes.
And a tour, which is currently only in the States.
Yeah, and to be fair, I have an inkling that it's going to stay that way. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think they'll come over.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I don't, but we'll see.
Foul
More on that story as it develops.
Later.
Fine. Article. That's what we want. Metal Hammer.
So, obviously, we've got...
Did you say to get it on their Facebook?
Yes, please. Quick shout out to Metal Hammer, as they have clearly now provided this article for us. And it's very exciting. In fact, it's their CD, so it's only fair to shout out to Metal Hammer.
Can I just ask then, so obviously I didn't get a chance to read into this too much. Is this basically going to be like what Roadrunner used to do with their compilation albums where they like pull everyone from like different bands together?
No, it's not Roadrunner United. So, it's just a bunch of bands covering... So, first of all, the news is... We've got oh, hello, Sophie, and thank you for your wow. Wow. So, Owen Wilson, the news is that Metal Hammer are releasing a tribute CD to the one and only Avenged Sevenfold, and it will be 11 bands covering 11 songs. 11 different bands, 11 different songs.
One of which being Fozzy.
Fozzy covering Shepherd of Fire.
Oh my fucking god!
That is track 1, and I'll bring the track listing up. Metal Hammer is out this Thursday.
It's trying to load, it's not doing a very good job.
Okay.
We're great at what we do.
We are.
I mean, this is the type of shit that we really should prepare for. So, whilst my phone decides to get a life, or how severely it's going to get chucked out of the window,
we have no further news. Hi, Peter. Sardude. So we have no further news, so what I'm going to do is... speak a little bit slower.
We seem to be having some technical difficulties.
And I just want to take this time to ask how you all are. We are ever so intrigued. Are you connected to the Wi-Fi?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, what?
Down further.
Oh, that's sad.
Right, here it is. Yes, Metal Hammer, Hail to the Kings, a tribute to Avenged Sevenfold. If you click on the comments, it should be the top comment.
Oh, here we go.
Fozzy, Shepherd of Fire. Shape spelt with a V, Scream.
Shape spelt with a V.
Betraying the Martyrs' Backcountry, Upon a Burning Body, Reminiscence.
Brutale, Almost Easy. Charcoal Tongue, Brompton Cocktail.
Oh, they better not fuck that up as well.
No, nobody can fuck any of these up because they're really fucking good songs that they picked, so fair play. Harbinger, Burn It Down, As Everything Unfolds, God Hates Us.
Skywalker Afterlife, Sworn Amongst, Second Heartbeat, I Fight Bears, which the name scares me because that kind of band usually sucks, with my favourite song, Holy Confessions, and Greyhaven with Hail to the King.
I mean, that's quite an interesting, assuming that this is going to be how it's like laid out on the album as well.
Yeah.
That's quite an interesting order. Quite an interesting order to do things.
I will be buying Metal Hammer on Thursday. That is when it's out.
Yeah,
check it out. According to Metal Hammer, it is their biggest Avenged Sevenfold issue ever. So obviously, my wallet has been emptied.
Yes, I mean, how many strictly Avenged Sevenfold issues have they done?
I think I've got like 5.
Oh goddamn! All right.
They probably got more from before then, but yeah, I wasn't me back then. I was a different man. So today we now bring you on to our topic, and what a fucking topic it is!
Wowza!
So it is the topic of sexism in rock and metal. Does it exist? If so, are we doing enough to stop it, and what can be done? We will go into intricate details about different aspects of potential or definite sexism in rock and metal.
But not too intricate. because we've already scared enough people off the other week.
We've brought most of them in.
Yes, we have.
So we had a poll. If you didn't pay attention to it, I don't know how.
You said I don't know how.
Yes.
No.
We did a poll, which we'll go into later, and we're reading out all the comments, and we'll get the result of the poll then as well. Now, we had 105 votes.
You checked that just before we
Literally
came live
just before.
as well,
The poll ended.
Okay, there you are. So 105 fucking votes,
Yes,
and that is by far the most that we have had
Yes.
on anything, anywhere. Oh my god.
If all of those people liked the page, we would probably hit 200 at least. Thanks, guys.
I mean, just why?
Why like the page? Because this is fantastic journalism right here. By the best only music-based podcast in the whole of Milton Keynes.
In the whole of Milton Keynes.
Maybe the world. Not the world. Hashtag that's not Mel. So, let's get into it. So, before we start the actual full topic, I want to know, and I'll answer this as well, is before you did any research, before you looked into anything, before you even announced the topic last week,
Right,
what were your preconceptions of sexism and rock and metal? For either gender.
Okay, so there's no argument. It's definitely relevant. It's happening. It happens all around us.
Yeah.
The severity of which I had no grasp on. So I can't really... I knew it happened, but I don't know how often. I didn't know if it was like something that happened everywhere, or if it was just like bad in certain countries, bad at certain festivals. These are all sort of things that I just hadn't really thought about. I just knew it happened and knew that not really enough is being done about it.
Yeah. My preconceptions were, I knew it existed. Obviously, I chose the topic by seeing a few things and hearing a few things via multiple aspects.
Yeah.
And that sexism does exist. And we'll get into a few reasons that I knew about beforehand. At the end, we'll say what we know now. We've done the research. But
Alright, so you'll ask the question again, essentially.
yeah,
after
now we've done
covered
research.
everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I'm
but
down.
overall, I knew it was there, but I didn't think it was that much of a concern in rock and metal. But I knew there were some things that were wrong.
I mean, like, genre specific, no, but like you imagine festivals and gigs and stuff like that. Like, that's where I sort of thought, like, well, yeah, it definitely happens. Specific sexes and specific sort of like targets surrounding that, not so much. So that was actually, for lack of a less disturbing way of putting it, that was probably like the most interesting part about researching this. Was actually, I did find out a lot of shit that I just had no idea.
Yeah,
a lot of shit.
we will discuss both genders as well. So it's not all female orientated, it's not all male orientated.
No.
So
Otherwise that would be against the fucking point.
that would be sexist of us, wouldn't it?
Yes, it fucking would.
So first of all, we'll start off with something that I knew about before, which kind of got on my tits a bit, to be honest.
Go.
Female fronted rock and metal.
Yeah, so like as defined as a genre.
As a genre. Well, we're going to hit playlists and genres. As you, kind sir, did provide me with, there's a Spotify playlist called Female Fronted Metal. But we'll talk about playlists versus genres. First of all, we'll start off with the big impact on genres.
Yeah.
So, not very recently, it's been over the last few years, more and more often on radio stations or articles, you'll hear, it's not Angela Gossow anymore, it's a new singer in Arch Enemy, but Angela Gossow, she's part of the female-fronted rock genre. Or metal, sorry. And then Pretty Reckless, she's part of the female-fronted metal genre. I'm like, well, Taylor Momsen and Angela Gossow are two extremely different vocalists.
Yeah.
They are not part of the same genre. Why have you named a genre female-fronted metal? Because it's a female? Like,
that kind of presets a tone that like female fronted rock and metal isn't worth having depth to it. Like there's no point in categorizing it any further by genre. Doesn't matter that the guitarists are heavier, doesn't matter that the vocals are heavier, it's a female, so
yeah, so they're given their own space, they're over there. I mean, at the same time as somebody very close to this podcast pointed out, along with me, Metallica and Sleeping with Sirens, you wouldn't put them in female... You wouldn't put them...
I wonder why!
Oh, shit. What's in the bucket of shit, motherfucker, grapes in mouth, we have themselves, nigga, being what you're going to do. They wouldn't put Metallica and Sleeping with Sirens in male-fronted metal because they're two entirely different bands. So why don't the females at front bands get the same treatment?
That's what I mean though, there's like, it's almost like there's no point in going in depth at
No,
all.
stupid.
Yeah. Oh, it's a female vocalist, so that's what it is.
Yeah, that's wrong in my opinion.
Massively, fucking massively.
Angela, Arch Enemy are metal.
Yeah.
Pretty Reckless are shit. Sorry, they're a rock.
Are they? I mean, yeah. Okay, we can agree to agree on your first point.
Yeah. Either way, they're definitely not the same genre just because the fucking female lead singer has tits.
But this is the difference for me. There's another difference in those two specific examples in the sense that Arch Enemy are a band and they focus on their music, and it is very much about the music. She just likes getting her tits out.
I'm not aware of this.
What, Taylor?
Yeah, I've heard that she wears like
titty tape all the time, fucking netted shit all the time, and like, it's fair enough. Like nobody's going to be like, oh, well, she can't wear what she wants. She's on stage. How dare she dress like that?
I've never heard the focus about Pretty Reckless being about Pretty Reckless. It's always about Taylor, whereas Arch Enemy's always been
Arch Enemy.
Arch Enemy.
Yeah, that's precisely it.
Grant is
Like she
pointed out more
plays
often.
on that kind of.
Look at me, I was in the Grinch.
Well, yeah, her specifically, but then there are other bands that you could probably say like have a female vocalist that are exactly the same. Arguably, you could say that there are bands that have male vocalists that do exactly the same, where it's all about
absolutely.
image and shit like that.
Yeah.
And like, the difference is
Rose.
yeah, kind of. That's a pretty prime example. The difference is people will be like, oh, Axl Rose is such a poser, but him and his band are good. Mm-hmm. Whereas people will say like, what's her surname? Mompson. Her. I don't even fucking know her name. She drives me fucking nuts. Yeah, like she'll fucking get up on stage and she'll dress that way, and people will be like, they'll point at her because it's her, and it's like she's a poser, and that's as much as it is. Like there's no depth to the music at all, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for any artists that have that stick when they're actually trying to commit to their music. But people like her, where they're like, oh yeah, I love the image, like, and you can tell that she's like. About herself, like
That's beautiful.
I thought so.
I mean, it doesn't help. I'm not saying it doesn't help as a whole, but it's definitely not helping the situation of female-fronted rock.
No.
But regardless, like even Hailstorm and Pretty Reckless, they're closer than Arch Enemy and Pretty Reckless. But you wouldn't put them in the same genre just because they've got a female front vocalist. It's just not right. So you pointed out
Katrina Watson says a lot of metal videos with females I have had.
Females in.
Females in. Yep. You should just read shit because I'm far too tired.
Underdress scenes.
Thank
That's
you.
correct. Sex does appeal. Is that right? We'll get on to that.
Well, we will get onto that. Just as soon as I wake up.
Female-fronted metal, the Spotify playlist. So when you first sent me to us, I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Why does that exist?
See, that's a little bit different though, isn't it?
I did some digging around.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, is there playlists for other controversial topics? And I say controversial, I mean the isms, like sexism.
Racism, I'm
Yes.
guessing, is another prevailing one.
There's two. So, two major ones that I found. And both of these were Google searches, and I just typed in simply on the first one, black fronted rock, and on the second one, gay fronted rock. There are playlists. The first one was by a record label I can't remember the name of, and that is called Music of Black Power, and that had just black artists. And the second one was an actual playlist by Spotify, which was Pride playlist, which is obviously gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. So once I saw these, I was like, well, I don't find the black one and the Pride one to be wrong. So maybe I should reevaluate what I think about the female one. And maybe these playlists are more of a celebration of those artists. 'Cause it's okay to celebrate black people. It's okay to celebrate gay people.
Yeah, 100%.
So maybe it's okay to celebrate women. But when I first saw it, under that title...
That's it. So there's... The minute that you see it, like, dressed that way, it's kind of like there's a stigma attached to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you said Pride, and obviously gay pride, essentially. Like, yeah. So... Instantly, when somebody says like, "Oh, it's a pride playlist," I'd be like, "Well, okay, so it's about gay pride. Gay pride's a good thing. Great."
Yeah.
That stigma isn't attached to gay pride the same way that it is female rock and metal kind of shit, and that made me think, why? What is actually different about female fronted rock playlists that has that stigma attached to it?
Yeah, I think, again, it's because of the genre. If it wasn't used in that way, and we just saw a female-fronted one, we'd be like, oh, cool, it's just someone like female vocalists. And they put it together. But because of this genre, and the way it's been misused entirely, I feel like that's now got stigma to anything attached with that name. So my decision on this was, I now see that a playlist for these and female-fronted metal maybe it might be a celebration, like I said before, a celebration of the female gender and females in rock and metal. I see that the same as Pride and Black playlists, that it's just a celebration. However, in my personal opinion, and I would fight that it's fact, it's still very wrong to have a genre named that.
Yeah.
Because it's just not right.
But
it's dumbing down the women because they are women.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stick to my original point. It's almost like because it's fronted by a woman, it's not worth like analysing any depth to it. That's almost what I get from it. Is if it's fronted by a woman, if the band's fronted by a woman, it meets the criteria suddenly.
Yeah, which is not right.
No. I mean, it would be fine if it's meeting the criteria of, you know, any bands that are fronted by a woman, but why? Why do that in the first place? Why?
I would never necessarily seek out that specifically. I wouldn't ever seek out.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't ever seek out male-fronted rock either. Like, we're going to our preferences later.
Yeah, much, because I have a very simplistic way of putting exactly how I feel, and the amount of research that I've put into this hasn't changed how I felt about it in the beginning at all.
In terms of preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, my preference is still the same.
Yeah, like.
But preference, you can have preference without being. A lot of metal videos. Oh, no, we've already done one. Agreed. Excellent.
We're agreeing, but we agree.
It's my preference hasn't changed, but a preference, you can have a preference about being sexist. But we'll go into that soon. So I'm going to give you a quote that I found on Thou Internet. It was an alternative rock host. He once told a journalist who was female that he won't play 2 female vocalist songs in a row because the audience doesn't want to hear it.
Ooh.
Is this sexist? Or is this just a businessman catering to what the fans want?
For me, and maybe it's just because I'm very kind of statistics and facts driven. For me, I would be able to answer that question if everyone at attendance at said show or whatever, if I was able to take a poll. Would you give a shit if I played 2 female-fronted bands in a row? Mm-hmm. If I was able to take a poll, I'm pretty sure I know which way it would go anyway. And you do have to, in the interest of being fair, you have to imagine the fact that there are so many people that you could go to at a setting like that and say, do you mind if I play 2 female-fronted bands in a row, that genuinely probably could potentially have an issue with it, that would say that they don't, because there is a stigma attached to it. Mm-hmm. So realistically, whether it's honest or not, you kind of know which way that is going to go. So in that sense, yeah, I would kind of say it is a little bit.
So I'm answering. I would assume the same as you. If you went to all of their listeners and they had a mandatory vote to carry on listening to the show, right, as a radio host, and you asked them if they minded, I don't think many people would. There are probably some out there that do.
Yeah, 100%. You're always going to get like people that would have a problem with it for the sake of having a problem.
Some people might just hate him. Some people might just be sexist. But going on the basis of this, that he's talking the truth and his fans don't want that, as a businessman, you would do what you need to do to keep fans. And if fans would fans would literally start tuning out and stop listening to his show because he played 2 in a row, which I heavily doubt, I see his point. But then at the same time, if he started playing more female-fronted, I nearly did that. If he started playing more bands with female vocalists, he'd probably bring in a new, different crowd, which is probably a better crowd.
He would do. So that was basically where I was leaning straight away. Was like, well, surely the numbers would balance out if it's about numbers. But then the bigger point that you need to be analysing here is that you're basically saying that somebody who could, for all accounts and purposes, have no problem with it himself, because he's chosen to put these 2 songs on in a row, or whatever.
Yeah.
So for all accounts and purposes, the guy has morals, and he's saying, well, no, I don't think it's a problem to have 2 female-fronted bands, but my fans do, so...
Yeah,
I mean,
it's business.
essentially, yeah, it's business, but you're selling yourself out. You're selling yourself out, and you're selling your morals out, and you're selling being a decent person out for business. And that's just fat cat. That's basically the definition of Wall Street.
Yeah.
That is a Wall Street cunt.
You know what? I see a point in the way, yeah, for sure. I did write down another question, but in fact it leads to the poll, so I'll go for that later.
Okay.
So, touching on number ones. So I've gone with Billboard here, and that is the USA version of the charts. Now then, Billboard, according to Billboard...
Top 100, is it? Like
yeah, Top 100.
Yeah.
This was this interview was done in recent years, so I'm not sure if it's changed since. But
recent years being how recent?
Like this year or last year.
Okay.
According to Billboard, the only two artists to ever hit #1 in the alternative rock charts since 1996 is Lordi and Elking.
Two females, like the only female artist to reach #1
since 1996.
That's fucking.
And that's not even in the top 100. Sorry, that's the alternative rock chart.
Wow. Okay.
So we're sticking to rock. I'm sure like people like Beyonce and Taylor Swift have hit #1 multiple
100%,
times.
But
in alternative rock, that's not many. I've never even heard of Elking. Granted, alternative rock isn't always our genre. It can be slightly different. Like Lordi is also very not our stuff.
I fucking love Lordi.
Yeah, okay.
She's brilliant, mate. She's sick.
She's really good on South Park.
Oh, no, trust me. She's a fucking creative and artistic person.
Yeah.
But another time, not on the podcast.
So
educate.
That surprised me. 2 people in 22 years.
Yeah, a little bit. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
And all right, a small percentage of that can be chalked up to the fact that just by sheer numbers, there are more male-fronted bands than women.
Yeah.
Besides the point, I mean, I can think of other songs that... It's difficult, though, because even... The topic at hand is obviously is this a problem, essentially? But to be honest, it is... Things like this come down to what people choose to listen to for themselves. So there's probably 100,000 people that voted to get any of these male-fronted bands on the top spot for all of these other years.
Yeah.
So if there's only ever been 2, that means that there's been male-fronted bands throughout the rest of it.
Yeah.
So, by default, people have chosen that. Ideally, in an ideal world, it will be because of the music, not because, oh, well, that's fronted by a female, so I'm not going to choose that. Hopefully nothing like that's going on. I suppose we'll never really know, and that's what we're kind of trying to identify now. But...
Yeah, which we'll obviously go into as we go along. But that's just a surprise to me.
I mean, it is, but at the same time, like... Is that actually because there's an issue that people aren't picking that, or is it because people are like, well, I'm not going to choose Halestorm to be my top 100 or like to top the Billboard this month because she's a woman? That would be just as wrong in itself. If people were like, oh well, do you know what? Actually, Avenged released The Stage this week, but Halestorm also released this week, and even though I really love the Avenged track, I'm going to pick this one because she's a woman.
Yeah, it's both double standards both ways. Yeah,
well, that would be just as disgusting because it's like, well, I'm sorry, she's a woman. She doesn't need your fucking sympathy votes. Like,
yeah, buy your album because you enjoy it, but at the same time,
more on that as it develops because that is my logic in a nutshell.
Yeah,
I don't understand. But
so,
we'll continue.
Before that disappears, there's a large comment. Mr. Ryan Fordham has said, if you're dwelling further down the female-fronted bands, Kat Von D has released an album with I Am X. The band had female singers for previous albums in other styles like hardcore, Korsakoff, anime, and Miss Kate. Have not hit #1. DJ, it's either Angerfist or another male producer. A lot of that went over my head. But, basically, Kat Von D is a big person, and the band has never gone to #1. They obviously deal with alternative rock. Or along those lines.
Interesting.
So, Mr. Rob Clement.
Yes.
Could you please give me your phone, or show me your phone, and we're doing poll results time. So while he loads that up, I know the poll result off by heart. We had 105 votes. We asked you if you have a preference to male members of a band or female members of a band. Vote that you have a preference. If you have no preference, then vote no preference. And I pointed out specifically, if you have a preference even just for one member of the band and you don't care about the rest, that's still you having a preference. Okay, so the results were, with 105 votes in total, it was 95 votes to having no preference and 10 votes to having a preference. Which is mad.
Fucking nuts.
Yeah, not in terms of result, it's mad in terms of the numbers that voted. Thank you to everyone, regardless of your opinion. And no opinion was wrong in this, unless it was for sexist reasons, of course. So,
where the fuck is it?
Tad Ferverdeen.
That one.
Yeah. So if you click on to that and then that, please. I'm not going to go through every person's name. That would be crazy because that's 105 names. But I will point out that out of the people that did have a preference, It wasn't all men. It wasn't all females. There was 9. No, there wasn't. There was 7 males to 3 females. So it is
4
from both sides. 4.
4. 1, 2.
Nikita's a
3.
man.
Excellent.
Yeah. Sorry, Nikita, if you are here.
To be fair, I just looked at the name.
Yeah. So we had 3 to 7 in terms of females to men who did have a preference.
Yeah.
Which I think is worth pointing out.
And that's quite strange. But never mind.
So
95 out of 105 people have no preference.
No preference on any member.
Is exactly where I would lay.
Yeah, interesting. I was going to go into this now.
Yes.
So yeah.
Why? Because I do get the feeling that you probably by the by feel exactly the same.
No, I posted a spoiler alert. So
Male.
I have a preference for male vocalists.
Okay.
I don't care about the rest of the band. They can be female or male. I do not give a shit. Right. And I posted a spoiler in there, which we don't usually do, but that was because there was about 35 votes to no preference and 0 votes of preference. So I was like, are people scared to vote they have a preference just because they might come across as sexist? So I put my point across in the comments, and then suddenly votes started coming in for preference. Now, my opinion is, we'll go back to yours, but seeing as we've mentioned the
I mean, it could
spoiler.
just be that you outlined a good way of saying that you have a preference without it coming across sexist.
Yes, because it's not sexist to have a preference as long as it's a good reason to have a preference.
Yeah.
So
It would be sexist to have a preference if you said, I like going to shows where I can vap. Like,
yes, that would be very
disgusting.
sexist.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but I agree. Like, I really did feel like, are people just sort of like saying that they have no preference because it's like the done thing? It's the right thing?
I don't do the dumb thing. As long as it's done right. So my answer is I do have a preference. I don't care if the instrumentalists, anyone can make that sound. As long as they're skilled enough, female or male, I do not mind. If you are a good guitarist, then fucking brilliant. I love female vocalists. I love Hellstorm. I love Old Tour Evanescence, Arch Enemy. I love a load of female vocalists in bands.
Amy Lee!
Pretty much every single one of my top 10 bands at least, probably 20, 25, are male fronted. I prefer the sounds that males can make. I prefer the vocal tone, the vocal chords they can perform better.
Okay.
You won't hear. Trying to word this correctly.
I mean,
It would be hard to have
I wouldn't have gone with better if you're trying to word things correctly.
It's better to me because it's my preference.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's better to the
yeah.
overall world.
No, yeah, I know.
I wouldn't want to hear Corey Taylor doing
Taylor Swift.
or
Corey Taylor Swift. Episode name.
Something write it down. So that's stuck in my head now. Corey Taylor Swift. So that's my preference. I have a preference, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Corey Taylor Swift. Amazing.
Would you agree there's nothing wrong with that preference?
I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because at the end of the day, you've outlined your reasons why. Me personally, I can't tell you why. I don't agree. But that's just purely because it's like, well, I literally can't think about it that way. It's just, if a band is good, excellent. I don't give a fuck who sings. I don't give a fuck who plays guitar. If the music sounds good collectively, I will listen.
Fully agree. Yeah. I've never thought to the female bands that I've enjoyed and gone, that would be better with a man, because I would never want to change what they are.
Exactly.
Some of these bands are absolutely amazing. Some
And
of
I've
shit.
never listened to a male-fronted band where I thought,
No, I've
this song could be better by a woman. Or...
No, there'll be the odd song here and there, mainly with male singers, where I go, it'd be great to have a woman in this as well. And I'll have a woman backer.
It would be an interesting cover if a woman did it because it would potentially like suit her vocal range, like a specific vocalist you could imagine. Like, so there have been songs that I've thought before, like, I bet if Amy Lee, for example, covered this, she'd probably do it this way and it would sound really gothic and awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I've made sort of comparisons and thoughts like that, but I've never once thought like this band would be better with a female vocalist.
No,
Because
and
that's
same
just,
with male.
that's just really just not the dumb thing.
no.
You don't do it, do you? Like, it just that's not a thought that goes into many people's heads. I
hope
think.
not.
No, yeah, I genuinely don't think so. Like, there are twatty people out there, and I genuinely don't think that that's a thought that would even enter some of their heads, because it's just kind of like, if they already like the song enough to be listening to it, then they probably like it with whatever vocalist it comes with.
I'm just going to come my own back slightly here as well, because you said I said better, and now I'm overthinking it in my head. So when
I'm
I say
sorry.
no, that's not your fault. That's just it's probably best that you did. When I say better, I mean there are certain sounds that men can't make that women can. There are certain sounds that women can't make that men can. I enjoy the sounds that the men make. That sounds so wrong.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, fuck.
And a minute ago you were saying it as well, and I was just like,
I enjoy the sounds that men make. So, you know what to do. Write it down. So, this is your little symbol, okay? You know who you are. Right.
Excellent.
So, yes. Oh, I can't go.
Fucking well thrown off now.
Yeah,
right,
so it's just
this has been
again,
deciphered. You guys have been great.
Nothing wrong.
See you later.
Just a preference. So let's go through every single goddamn comment.
Fuck. Okay.
I'm sweating like a beast.
I mean, it is fucking warm in here. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna divert.
Join us after this short break, where we will discuss many other things, such as our Untold Story review. Coming up soon.
Fair, I could open the.
And we also have Deciphered Tournament to decide third place with Slipknot. No, not Slipknot. They're in the final with My Chemical Romance versus Avenged Sevenfold. Yeah, I think I filled that up pretty well.
Yeah, it was alright.
Thanks, man. So the comments, we got a bunch of comments, and we will read all of them out, including our replies, in case you have not paid attention. So
I'm going to give you the pleasure of reading Daniel's.
Daniel Cooling, a guy that never watches our show, but loves to tell me what I'm doing wrong. Right, Daniel Cooling. Daniel Cooling did say, I have no preference in rock. I feel some of the best bands have female influence. However, in metal, I find that women's vocal range just can't reach the depths of male singers. Metal needs to have a huge range, and most, in brackets not all, women can't reach that range biologically. That said, it doesn't mean they shouldn't be involved in metal, playing guitars / drums, or whatever. How do you feel about that, Rob? Come back on screen.
How fucking deadpan. Oh, I mean, essentially, that's kind of your point as well. Like,
yes,
there are certain tones and pitches and octaves that can't be reached by certain genders.
And must point out that he has no preference, so you made a point of saying that as well.
Excellent.
So, yeah, although he agrees with my statement.
Pretty rounded argument, to be honest.
Yep. Mr. Gareth Pavey, he said, no preference. Flyleaf and In This Moment, for example, are just as good as, say, Shinedown and Breaking Benjamin. I'm going to disagree with that. Because Flyleaf and In This Moment are much better than Shinedown. Fuck Shinedown.
Have you fucking listened to their new album?
No, I've heard bad things.
Oh, it's so grim.
Even Pete said that.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So yeah, agree. Well, disagree. Agree.
Hit me with your rhythm stick. Hit me.
Saucy. So Theodore Spencer says, good music is good music. Simple as.
Yeah, fair.
Basically, 100%.
Agreed.
That is it.
Yeah.
That is the way of the world.
I'm still sticking to the point that there is no wrong answer here.
No, I mean,
again, unless it's
there is the potential for answers to be given in the wrong way for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely, yes.
It's an opinion at the end of the day. So
yep.
By default, nobody is right or wrong. Roddy McCann. Absolutely no preference whatsoever. There was a member of my band, now an ex-member by his own doing, who, whenever I mentioned a band with any female members, would ask, is she hot? Nice. Pretty much every time I would get confused and reply, hadn't really thought about it, does that matter? 100% accurate fucking thing to say. Does that fucking matter?
No, it doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't make a difference to the music. We'll get into that in more
we
detail
will.
soon.
We will.
Yeah, effectively, that is correct. We did reply to that.
Yes.
Just saying that...
Just reread your comment. Apologies for not replying earlier. The question at the end is an odd one, to be honest. We'll touch on this in the podcast. Why did you put an odd one?
Because it's such an odd question to ask somebody.
You mean, is she hot? Because to be fair, I mean, does it matter is technically the last question.
Well, I meant, Mr. McCann, that asking that is an odd one. There you go. Live in HD. So, Ryan Harkness did say on our comment section that my only preference is that the person in the band is good. The thing I would say is that I'm yet to see a female drummer in heavy, I guess he meant heavy metal, in a heavy band, be better than a male counterpart? Do they exist? Please let me know, as I'd definitely like to check them out. I'm actually not aware of any female drummers either. There was a band Cyanide back in the day, Milton Keynes.
Yeah,
they were really good.
Fucking brilliant to see live. And to be fair, she was pretty kick-ass drummer.
Yeah.
In terms of like popular bands, I guess, or like mainstream-ish, or bands that have surfaced that we would know about, no, none of them have female drummers.
Not that I can think of at all, no.
None of them. There are bands out there that obviously do, but
yeah,
not ones that we have. Definitely none that we've touched upon. On
we're both drummers as well, so
we would know.
We should know, yeah. Well, we would know. We don't.
There are fucking amazing, dude. Honestly, if you're looking to be amazed by female drummers, go on YouTube. Go on YouTube. There are some drummers that make me feel fucking so at ease with being a shit drummer, because they're just amazing. And to be fair, I mean, how's he worded it? He's not sort of saying that, like...
He's not saying that if
one thing I would say is that I'm yet to see a female drummer. Okay, so yeah, go on YouTube, see a female drummer, just to state your own thing there, but...
Definitely worth looking into from our point.
Yeah, 100%.
If there are any bands out there.
Yeah, I agree with that, really. If they're good musicians, great. If they're not, I probably won't listen. I mean, if they're not, there's a good chance that I might still listen, because I listen to bands that, for all accounts and purposes, are just shit.
Yeah, well, and Shikari. So, we have next comment from Ryan John Clough, or Clough, I'm going to say it's Clough.
Yeah.
I have a slight preference. I love some female vocalists, but I think they sometimes struggle to match the male vocal range. However, there's also a part of the female vocal range that most guys can't recreate, but the bottom line is, if a band is good, I'll listen to them. I think the bigger problem is the perception of women in bands from the fans' point of view. Biggest example probably being In This Moment Right Now. Well, In This Moment Right Now.
In This Moment Right Now. Go on then, who is it?
I know a lot of people that are only going to see them to gawk at Maria, who is the vocalist. And it stops being about the music and the rest of the band. Just the Maria Brink beat one off show, which sucks. Not a lot can be done about it, but I suppose the true fans are there for the music. That's irrelevant. So I agree. I'm for one. I agree. Yeah. I think the most impressive thing that when I look at Maria Brink, when I say look at her, when I hear and look at her, the most thing I'm impressed by is her such unbelievably unique voice. I'm not even sure if I like it, but I'm still impressed by it, because no one else I can think of sounds like that. Have you listened to This Moment?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah.
There's a very good chance, depending on who they clash with, there's a good chance I'm going to go see him.
Damn right. I don't think they clash with anyone that wants to see it download.
Excellent. So that'll be one. And to be fair, I've never once listened to their music and thought, she's hot. Not once.
No.
Like,
neither have I.
Literally, that thought straight away is kind of like, whoa. She's got like a really fucking gruff voice, and she can do like both sides of it really well.
She is definitely unique.
Yeah, man. So yeah, fair play. So Paddy Roo. I have no preference of which sex/gender is in a band. It only matters that the music is what I consider to be enjoyable. I will say I have a thing of attraction to female drummers. I find it sexy. That doesn't mean there is anything preferable.
Fair shout.
I mean, yeah, everyone's entitled to their voice. You can't tell a man to not be attracted to what he's attracted to. That's fair enough.
I mean, Paddy, start talking to the guy above, Mr. McMahon. Not McMahon, Mr. McCann, about female drummers.
Not because he's a hot female drummer, but because he needs to know some.
Yeah, if you know some, tell him.
The lovely Courtney Wallace says, I misinterpreted the preference question, so count one preference, vote as no preference.
Yes, the conversation below. She voted that she had a preference, and then I told her how to delete your vote and re-vote.
Okay, excellent.
So I think I should ask her to elaborate.
Yes. Fucking brilliant. Oh, mate. That's actually made my day. How deadpan I read that, like, expecting there to be an underlying connotation or a point there. It's just like...
a long version of I fucked up.
Yeah, essentially. Anyway. It does seem that I like a lot more male vocalists, but I don't think that's down to preference. More that there aren't that many female vocalists in comparison, at least not in the style I like. I love In This Moment, Evanescence, I Wrestled a Bear Once, etc. But the styles of their music are in minority for females. So,
Fair.
I mean, that is a fair point, and that is something that we have kind of already touched upon a little bit.
And we'll a bit further.
Sheer numbers are just staggering.
So the young angelical Sophie Ray commented. So in brackets, no preference for the musical aspect at least. End brackets. I tend to listen to more all-male / male-fronted bands, but I think that's because they are so readily available. Having said that, I agree in part with the first comment by Daniel Cooling, but would say that female vocalists / need / range and power to be popular because of the direction music has taken as a whole, partly due to pop music, I suppose. Whereas, in brackets, for me, at least, not sure about others, in brackets, guys can be excellent vocalists or not be. Where either gender doesn't meet the standards, it's usually their stage presence and live performance that saves them. Where stage presence is concerned, female artists are more likely to make me cringe because while I support their bodily autonomy, I think music should be about music and not about tits. But then that's holding women to a different standard to men, which is a product of a culture that over-sexualizes women's bodies and desexualizes men's bodies. In short, as far as music is concerned, I have no overt preference. Bam. Gareth Pavey replied to that, saying, I would say that metal music is more male-orientated anyways, but for mainstream music is really for female-centric audience. There you go. As I read a reply, would you like to take the next one?
What?
As I read a reply, would you like to take the next one?
No, it's fine. You can crack on, Sam.
Ben Baker commented that he couldn't give a fuck if the band was girls or guys, as long as it sounds awesome and doesn't suck. If Whitechapel were girls, sick. If Slipknot were girls, sick. If Kitty were guys, sick. If Bleeding Through were girls and the keyboardist was a guy, sick. We don't have a problem with gender roles in metal / hardcore / punk / rock. We have a problem with egos. Just be a good musician. That's the only criteria. Now I'm going to go into a few comments. Just got into a bit of a long conversation with Mr. Baker here. So he did state that awesome females in bands, top of my head, Arch Enemy, Walls of Jericho, Kitty, Code Orange, Bleeding Through and Cradle of Filth. So obviously I wrote, thanks for the great comment with the overall topic. Just a follow-up question, can you please elaborate on the problem with the egos comment? Because I wasn't sure that was just explained very well. And I also asked, do you feel Slipknot or Kitty would have the same sound of the genders, if the genders were swapped? And would they have the same effect? So I'm not aware of Kitty. I don't know that band.
Nope.
But with Slipknot, if it was an all-female band, would it have the same effect? Will they have reached the heights? That's what I was going for. Ben Baker decided to comment. I just like that. I like that. Can you elaborate on sexism in music? Would Slipknot or Kitty sound the same? How the hell would I know that? It's nothing to do with the sex of the members. It's to do with the quality of musicmanship.
So just before I, whoa. So in one comment, the guy saying, if these bands had female vocalists, sick. If this band had male vocalists, sick. And then in the next breath is basically saying, how should I know what they sound like?
I think
fuck your original point then, because you have no legs to stand
according
on.
to Ryan Harkness,
fucking metal leper,
who is here live now. Kitty were pretty awful, to be fair.
Okay, amazing. My point still fucking stands. If you're going to say, like, well, how the hell would I know? Well, then why bring it up as a point in the first fucking place?
I think Ben was trying to make the point of, with Slipknot with females sick, he doesn't care that they're males.
Yeah, okay, that would have been a better way to word it. Like, you're basically saying if the bands had female vocalists, they would still sound sick. Well, that's not necessarily true, because they might not sound the same, and we like Slipknot because they sound like Slipknot.
Bruce, I meant to say Mr. Baker. Who's Ben Bruce? Alexandria. Anyway, Mr. Baker. He goes on to say, how about you change your podcast topic to how do we stop sexual harassments or assaults at shows or festivals, assuming that we wouldn't touch on that in the first place. I don't think the females or males who get assaulted sexually gives a shit about what gender the musicians are. Not trying to be a dick, but this shit annoys me.
Not trying to be a...
So we go on. I'm not going to every because it's quite long. We've already gone long into it. I go on to define what sexism is, and I mention the things we're going to mention in today's podcast. And he then goes on to state he knows what sexism is. He asks where I can elaborate on where it is in metal.
I know what sexism is. I've got Google.
So I repeated my above comment, stating exactly what I stated beforehand, and I haven't had a reply since.
Excellent.
Sophie mentioned something not going against Ben, but you can check out the comments for the rest of it, because obviously it's getting a bit long on this part now.
And it's just hilarious.
Yep, so just to finish off the last few, Craig Mills, no preference as long as it sounds good. Shall I continue? Or?
Yeah, go for it.
Kaylee Chambers, I have no preference. If a band is good, then they're good. Did you just do a love heart to the camera?
No, I did that.
Oh, I thought you were like, I'd like gay.
What the fuck? Bro.
Continue with Kaylee's comment. Reasonably on the subject, though, I have had a moment recently that annoyed me. There was a post up on one of the band gig groups on Facebook, and it stated that they wanted to compile an album to show that women can rock, in question marks. That wasn't, yeah. But even though my bands have a female bassist and female drummer, there you go, check out their band, Space Junkie. And
she is the drummer, isn't she?
is she?
I believe so.
I'm aware. Despite the fact, so even though they have their band's a 3-person band basically, female drummer and bassist, and the vocalist, I guess, and guitarist is male. Despite the fact there were only 3 of us, they were only interested in female vocalists, which I thought was a shame. And finally, by Mr. Mark Hart. I have no preference. To me, it's just based on the quality of music produced. Nonetheless, I will admit that my taste in music is vastly dominated by male bands and musicians. It doesn't matter to me if the vocalist or any band is female, but I do believe rock/metal is very dominated by men. It would be interesting to know why that is, given that the fan base of the genre isn't so one-sided. Which we'll get into the fan base in just a moment.
Yeah.
So those are the comments.
But that is a very valid fucking point to make, actually.
Hashtag Space Junkie. And she is the drummer, yep. Oh, you got to the wrist. There we go. So, those are the comments. That's the poll result. Most people that have paid attention to this poll do not have a preference, on gender, and that's great. That's absolutely fair. For those that do, as long as their reasons are like mine and fair, then great, absolutely fair as well.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
I mean, is this now a good time to address Mr. fucking Ben Baker?
Did we not address him already?
No. Not on the sexual assault at gigs and stuff.
No, that's coming soon. So that's going to towards the end of the podcast, or the topic. So next up, we go on to something that's been mentioned before briefly, and that is magazine articles.
Yeah.
That states, so Revolve magazine in America, for the last 7 years or so, maybe 6 years, every year they have a front page main article of the hottest chicks in rock and metal.
I mean, even the way that that's worded is bad, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
Hottest chicks.
The hottest chicks in rock and metal. And as you can tell, it's just based on their looks.
Tits.
And I saw like a recent one, I think it was 2016, and I fucking forgot her name, but the lead singer of New Year's Day,
Fuck knows.
which are a shit band, they were featured on the front page. Right, that's because she's good looking.
Right.
They wouldn't feature on the front page otherwise. Ash Costello. I want to say Ash Costello. That's her name.
Sorry.
That's all right, sir.
I just kicked you.
You beat me up. So really, it's just not.
Karen Sarg says,
Someone who does not know the answer could very well be interested in the opinions of the rest of the listening public, and on hearing more opinions may be able to include their own opinions, so they do know the answer in the end after all. We pretty much read out all the comments, to be honest, anyway. In fact, we read out all of them, apart from the ones that turned into a slight argument. But they are on our page to see, whenever you wish.
you have to like it first.
She likes the page.
Sick.
Okay, so I believe, yes, every year in April, May time, that was in 2017 at least, that was when the issue for Revolver was the hottest chicks in rock and metal. There's been one every year since 2013, that's what I can see. What's worse, that is entitled The Hottest Chicks rather than Women.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, actually. I'm very glad.
Yeah, so even if it's the hottest women in rock and metal,
it still wouldn't be
kind of
good.
shit.
No, but it's the fact that that's like
chicks is a bit of derogatory.
That's like a
now.
kick while somebody's already down kind of thing. That's like adding insult to injury.
Yeah, so I'm not keen on it. I went to look for some comparison. Well, first of all, yeah, we kind of touched on it, but what do you think about these articles? Especially being front page. These are used to sell the magazine.
I mean, I'm going to throw it out there now, and not to look like a golden boy in front of the podcast, but I have never been one for zoo nuts Like all of those fucking like glorifying half-naked women kind of magazines. I think they are the most pointless fucking thing in the world. Fair enough, give somebody a platform if that's what they want to do with themselves. Like, I don't have a problem with people choosing to do that, but for me personally, it's just like I'm not gonna buy an issue of a magazine just to see different tits every week.
Yep, that's fair, especially because it's usually fake. When I was like 14, 15, I had nuts quite a lot. The magazine, that is, not peanuts or testicles. Well, I had my own.
You did have testicles.
I did once. Terrible accent. But yeah, that shit doesn't interest me now.
Is that because you don't have nuts?
Yeah. So I don't agree with these magazines in the first place. When I was younger, I saw them about. I was like, okay, cool. I never really bothered to buy it. Well, it was Revolver in America anyway, so I couldn't buy it. But I was like, oh, it's a bit of... The article didn't really like make me think, oh, that's weird, or that's wrong, or that's cool. Just didn't really think about it. It wasn't until I got older and I heard... in fact, I first really noticed it when Bees from That's Not Metal fame, and the best journalist of all time,
Hashtag representing.
He mentioned it in, I think it was like an old YouTube video that he was doing before That's Not Metal was That's Not Metal. And it was just Bees Says. And I think he mentioned it there, and he was just going on about how this shit's got to stop. And I didn't really think about it until that point. I was like, actually, yeah, we're not focusing on the music. It's a music fucking magazine. That's just... And the fact is, now it's got to a point now where they're making... Like, this issue is now sold with a yearly calendar. Wow. Or at the end of the year, they use the issues...
like the article itself.
Yeah, and use that for a calendar. So it's just hot chicks in scantily clad clothes. We need to call the right to censor.
That's just publicity and just pure fucking money garnering.
Yeah, it is.
That's basically.
And the thing is, it probably does sell because
of course it does. Of course it does.
There's a lot of men that love metal and a lot of men that love bodies. Tits. Yeah.
So that is the nature of the world. Unfortunately, like those things are always going to exist.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Everything in balance, everything in its rightful place and stuff. Like things like nuts, I've never been into myself, but at least that's what it's there for. That's what it's designed for. A fucking music magazine that does it once a year.
Yeah,
that's just not on, man.
That's one out of that's a 12th of your magazines.
Yeah,
based on women and looking hot.
Yeah,
and it could be shit like Taylor Momsen.
I bet she's been like.
Probably
poster girl for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
At some point as well, which is just,
Even people that seem more reserved, like I say, seem more reserved, like Lizzie Hale from Hellstorm, they've been on there as well. But I went and did a little bit of digging to see if there were any male-orientated articles of the same sort. Because there's male ones, equally amount of male ones, and it's somewhat less sexist because they're doing it for both genders, or in a way, kind of.
I mean, it shouldn't be. That's the thing. This is the idea behind this: is that if that was the way, with them doing men's articles as well, it shouldn't be. The question is, would there be? Would there still be a difference between the two?
Yeah.
Because I'm not being funny. There is a bit of a stigma that's attached to. So say like that was a thing that men in metal started doing like topless photo shoots for Revolver once a year or something.
Yeah,
like
or
that.
the skin piece.
Yeah. Some fucking like tighty whiteys or whatever, some Calvin Kleins, like it's proper modelling style shit.
John McCrick white fronts.
Like, the idea behind it is that if that was a thing, we'd probably still be talking about how we do that for women, or like how we do that about women. And do you know what I mean? Like, there's a stigma attached to it that like it will be okay for guys because we don't get victimised in that way as much.
Yeah,
and that's still wrong. Still wrong. Like, you can't argue with that because
it's still choosing looks over music, which is not right.
Yeah, there's that side of it. So that's like 50% of the wrong, and the other 50% of the wrong is that just because we're guys doesn't mean that we can get off on that shit instantly. It doesn't mean that it's like any less or more victimising than it would be if it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think if they did equal men's ones, it wouldn't bring down the sexism of the women's. It would just raise the sexism towards the men.
That's the way that it should be, though. If we were going to do that, like that's
yet still promoting equality in a weird way. In a very backward equality way. They're doing the same. It's technically equality because it's the same, but it's wrong equality.
It's equality at its shittest level. Yeah. Like, it's equality that nobody wants.
Women get treated like shit and they get their fucking boobs out for these posters. Well, we should fix that by making men do it. Oh, you fucked up there, didn't you?
It's the same thing with like the whole driving insurances and stuff, like the quotes being different for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, granted, yes, more men drive like dickheads, but I know some women that fucking rag the shit out of their cars and don't deserve to be insured. Like, So it is the same. It's
Yeah.
the same both ways. Like neither one should really be like outwardly.
So the digging I did for it is so basically I found only 3 articles about this, and 2 of the 3 articles I found for Sexiest Male in rock, and there were 2 of them were in response to the hottest chicks.
So what? Because there's
2
been
women,
backlash.
2
or something
two
like-
separate women because they were both women that did these articles. Both were like, well, they do this every year. Let's do one of our own because fuck that. So they did
Fairs.
it, and they did a poll. And the only other one I found was by Revolver. They've done it 1 year. It was not a front page article. It was an online poll.
Wow.
That was it. And I think they called it the
Wow.
Revolver. They may have called it the Hunks. No, I don't think they did. I think I made that word up and thought they did something in terms of chicks, like to opposite chicks. But no, I think it was just the men. A simple poll rather than entire front page article / calendar. Yeah, that's what I've got for that. So, cheers, Revolver.
That's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
Mad.
Now, touching on the fans, right?
Whoa.
God, Rob. Not like that. Touching on the fans in terms of the amount of fans, right? So this is not going to be down to the world, right? I'm sure it's very different, but this is the information I've got, and this is UK based. So in terms of fans, rock and metal is a male majority,
Right.
right? An example of that is of all Metal Hammer Facebook likes at the time that the article was made, recently-ish, in the last year or so.
Okay.
25% are female and 75% are male.
Huh.
Okay. So when the fan base is predominantly male, is it not surprising that most people in bands are male?
I mean, no, because you can't make that assumption at all, pure like based on fans.
Well, you could. So if how am I going to do this? If 10 people work in a company and 9 of them are female and 1 of them's male, and a female gets promoted to manager, chances are, it's a really bad analogy, but chances are it's going to be a female because there's more females, more choice of those fans.
Yeah,
Fans make
by
music.
ratio, there's more chance of a female getting a promotion than a male. In that
So
particular instance.
when again we're using this one example, don't take this for fact, please. When 3/4 more men than female fans, loads of fans want to make bands. We are fans. We want to make bands, right? It makes statistical sense that that's why there's more men in bands than women. In a way, I would say. Okay? That right. Whilst you dwell on that... No, that's all I've got for that. I think statistically, like...
I hate to find
And fans, talk to us if you think that makes sense or it doesn't make sense. Equal representation is different, yeah. But at the same time, so you've got to argue, like, there are more men in bands than females, it seems.
Yeah.
But that's down to representation. But if there is more men more men in bands than women in bands, it makes sense that there's more in terms of actual big bands that it's more male orientated. I feel like women so metal's old now, like from when it started, like back in the Black Sabbath days. I feel it's more acceptable for females to start making bands now, and that's why we're seeing an uprising of female bands now. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have heard of Hellstorm in this moment, all that stuff. 10 years ago, you heard of Avenged, Slipknot, Maiden, Metallica, Sabbath.
I mean,
etc.
that's my argument behind it. You're sort of saying, like, with a predominantly male fan base, is it not more kind of... Is it just the done thing for it to be, like, more naturally dominated by men as they start bands and stuff like that? And I just think, well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the logic in that, and, like, the way that works is very accurate. That is pretty much how it works in real life, yes. But, A, is that right? Probably
No, I'm not saying I
No.
thought it was right.
No.
Yeah.
But I just mean, A, is that right? But B, how much of that is because there are so many men, say Avenged are playing Download in a couple of weeks. Is it not fair to argue that there are many more men in the crowd, now not just by numbers, let's say that literally the crowd is like a 50-50 split of men and women, I guarantee there'll be more men that would feel like it's not even worthy of a second thought. If they thought, I'm going to start a fucking band, like seeing Avenged play right now is making me think I just want to start a band. I feel like more men would think about that and potentially just do it because they don't have to think about the stigma that's attached with it. Whereas a woman might be like, I really want to start a band because I'm watching Avenged play right now and it's making me want to start a band, but I don't really want to get like heralded on stage to get my tits out. I don't really want to.
Do you think all women think that?
No, not all women. Not
Do you
at
think
all.
the most women think that? I don't.
I don't think most
very
women think that.
small minority.
No. Yeah, but again, that's because of the numbers. That's because of the
No, a
numbers.
small minority of women, not of all people. I don't think many women.
I think there would be
stop.
a lot more women than you would consider upon a first glance that would doubt themselves or have second thoughts about doing something like that when they're perfectly within their rights to and they're perfectly empowered to. There would be more people or more women that would probably second guess doing it, like actually going ahead and doing it because of things that men just don't have to think about.
Whilst you carry on, Sophie, why? Why do you think it's harder for women to find a band? I just feel... the idea of a woman not making a band because she thinks her tits are going to have to be out, I feel like that's not a big opinion for women.
No,
I can't speak for women, honestly.
No, and that's not what I'm saying. I just mean that guys aren't going to be like, well, I really want to start a band, but, you know...
Why is it scary?
Like, guys don't... I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a guy that would be like, well, I'd like to start a band, but, you know, I'm not too sure about getting up on stage and having all of these women scream for me to get my nutsack out.
Yeah.
That's a thought process that guys don't really have to think about. They don't have to think about all of that because that doesn't exist. Whereas a woman probably would naturally have to think about that at some point. It's rife, man. It's fucking rife in festival settings and stuff like that. We will touch upon this a little bit more in a minute.
Absolutely.
It's fucking rife. And me personally, if I was a chick and I wanted to start up a band, I'm going to use the word chicks because Revolver has pissed me off a little bit. If I was a woman that wanted to start a band, I would probably be the type of person that would... I'd like to think it wouldn't stop me from doing it, but I'd be the person that would think about it. Because I overanalyze everything.
Well, I would say... I would quite an overthinker at times as well. But that's not something that's would have crossed my mind, I don't think. Neither of us can say until we're in that position. We can obviously
Neither of us can say until we're post up.
Before anyone jumps the gun, we are not speaking for women on this. We realise we are two men and we are bringing every topic to light, or to darkness. And I just don't... My assumption is, and I say as properly as I can, my assumption is that I don't think too many women think of that in rock and metal.
Okay, let's put this out to the fans then. Is it fair to say that there are more adverse things that women would probably maybe not have to think about, maybe that's not the right way to put it, but I have an easier time picturing a woman doubting whether or not it was something that she actually wanted to go through with, purely because there are going to be men in the world that make it a nightmare at some point. I think that that's a thought that a woman would have more relevance to think about than a bloke would.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Yes, more women have a reason to think about it more than men. That we don't disagree on. I just don't think, out of just women, ignore the men for a second, out of just women that want to start a band, I don't think many put that in their way.
I never once said that, like, lots of women would, just that it would be something that I can imagine a woman would potentially have a thought about that a guy just wouldn't. If there was a woman in the crowd and a man in the crowd and they both had the same thought, I want to start a band, and it's going to sound like Avenged because I'm watching Avenged and Avenged are amazing.
Fair.
I think like the guy could probably stop his thought process there. I'm going to start a band, and that's it. All he really needs to think about after that is where am I going to find a drummer, a bassist, and every other instrument that he's not.
Okay, it's fair.
I think a woman would naturally, not naturally.
I'm not sure. Maybe I've misconstrued how deeply you thought they made that thought. If it's like a passing thought that goes like that, then that probably happens for quite a fair few people. But the way I took it from when he first said it was that
It was like an active,
like it's going to stop me doing it after all.
I bet there are women out in the world that would like to start a band that are too scared to. I bet that's a thing. Somewhere.
Yeah, I think
Somewhere.
it's
just throwing it out there. That's not what I was saying. So you are right to
cool.
Yeah, you're right to pick that up and clear that up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
good.
Now that you mention it, I genuinely do feel like there are probably women out there that would love to start a band that are a bit too scared to because men are generally a bit piggy.
It's a bit of a generalisation, but I would say if that's the case, I no doubt believe there are some people out there scared to
100%.
because of the way they might be controlled or whatever by men. But I would say that's an extreme minority, not even just a very, very small minority. Again,
Yes.
not speaking of women, let's catch up with Sophie in the comments section.
Equal representation. So why? We asked Sophie why she feels like finding band members online would be scary, or for a woman to find band members full stop would be scary. So we can only start if we know people. There are less ways for us to find people that don't have safety issues attached to them. I mean, yes, but I feel like more people than not start bands with people that they know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes, like, maybe when we get to our age now, it's more of an online thing because people are doing their own thing or they're already in bands. But obviously a lot of bands start when you're younger, around the teens.
This fucking camera's pissing me out.
So, she also stated because meeting four guys you don't know from a board on the internet is not a good thing to do as a female. That's down to the female, I would say. There's plenty of men out there that aren't out to get you. But at the same time, I can see why some people may have that fear. Would you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like,
also, you could meet females that want to start bands.
I'm all for feminism right up until the part where women start generalising men. Like,
generalisation
is
my issue.
disgusting. Yeah, and it's like, well, hang the fuck on a minute, because now you're just as bad as the people that you're targeting. So,
Moving swiftly on, but thank you for your comments. So, we are going to get on to festivals now, Mr. Roberto.
I'm not saying that was you, by the way, Soph. Just throwing it out there. You do not generalise men. You are okay, as far as I know, anyway. You're I mean, I don't know. This guy knows. This guy knows you.
So, with the lack of bands, including a female making festival lineups or music as a whole within our genre, do you think there is more that can be done? Or is it simply, just on this topic, just this one little bit about not enough females in bands making festival lineups at substantial, like, good positions, right?
In terms of how far up the bill they are.
Up the bill they are, or even making music as a whole. Right, we know there's less women in rock and metal because, or that we can see that are advertised or good enough. Do you think there's something that can be simply that can be done, or is it simply that there's not enough out there? / they have less fans. / of lower quality.
Definitely don't agree with lower quality at all. That, to a degree, is obviously down to skill, which can affect men and women, and also quality of production.
Yeah.
You can have a male-fronted band that sound like absolute shit because they weren't produced properly.
Yeah.
You can have a female-fronted band that sound great because they were produced properly. Like,
we can both agree that there's lower quality bands out there, and that doesn't matter what the gender is.
No, yeah.
There's shit female bands out there, there's shit male bands out there.
100%.
So, do you feel like the women in bands have less fans? I mean, that's technically proven as correct in rock and metal because of the representation. There's not enough of them. But why aren't Hellstorm reaching the heights of Iron Maiden? Well, not Iron Maiden, it's a bit strong. Why aren't Hellstorm?
But I get what you mean. Why aren't they
Slipknot?
like carrying on progressing and climbing and climbing and
Yeah.
climbing? I think in some cases, so we're going to use Hailstorm as an example.
They're
for
probably
me,
the biggest female inclusion rock band going.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a main member, we'll get onto another band that has a female member soon. That's bigger, but
yeah, okay. I mean, there's a few really big bands that have got female members.
yeah. I would have said Evanescence, but they've gone a bit down recently. Of course, you got Nightwish also. They're headlining Bloodstock this year.
I didn't know they were headlining Bloodstock.
Yeah, boy, really. But why aren't they getting? Why are they only hitting a certain level? We'll say Hellstorm again because they're still more mainstream than Nightwish. But why aren't Hellstorm getting any bigger? I don't think it's because she's female, but
No,
there's got to be a
absolutely
reason.
not. In my opinion, strictly my opinion as well, because I know that it's probably an unpopular one. I think that they're getting worse and worse every album they release.
Okay. Fair.
And that's why I don't listen to them. That's why if I was Andy and in charge of fucking Donington, I wouldn't put them any further up the bill than they've been already, because I don't feel like they're progressing as a band.
All right.
But that's got nothing to do with her.
Throw out a
agenda.
more mainstream rock band that includes females that you like.
More mainstream.
Yeah, it's like Hellstorm. They're more mainstream than Arch Enemy, for example.
What, so you want me to go more mainstream than Hailstorm?
No, on Hellstorm's level. Or around that. And you've got bands like Marmozets that are rising pretty quickly, but they've only hit a point. They're still going, but they're still quite new. So established bands such as Hellstorm or Pretty Reckless or something like that, why aren't they getting any bigger?
I don't really know if you can class them as a band. A lot of people do. I don't necessarily. Crystal Castles.
Never heard of them.
Okay, never, ever get into the pits at their show. You will die.
Okay.
You will die. I saw people getting carried out on stretchers. It was something else.
Nice.
And they're not actually like a heavy band. They're just the type of band that too many people will go and trip their nut off watching. So yeah, I'm going to go with them. They are quite mainstream in their own right. They've got a bit of a cult following.
So why aren't they getting any bigger?
That much in their particular instance, I can't tell you, because I don't think they've released any music for a while. I certainly haven't been keeping up to date with it. I was into them-ish around 2012 because I went to go and see them at Reading.
Right.
And left very soon after because about 5 people literally got carried out on stretchers, like within 5-10 minutes of me arriving at their tent. In terms of them getting any bigger, as far as I know, they haven't changed their style. They haven't changed members.
All right, let's bring it back a sec. Sorry, right? Just because I was like using this as like an example.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Why isn't there a massive female rock band? I don't have a reason.
I don't have a reason.
Like, but with so many, I can name 50 pretty damn big metal bands or rock bands included, with males as vocalists or males overall that are big enough to remember the name of. And well, I say that's bad because I remember a lot of female vocalist names. Skunk and Nancy, they did get pretty big. They did sub-headline Download in 2011, 14. Sorry, or was it 11? Either way, yeah. But could you name more than 3 of their songs to the wide public? Maybe you could. I couldn't.
Without Google.
Probably not. There's no female rock bands out there that have reached
Avenged status, for example, or like
even fucking like Stone Sour status.
I mean, I would.
You always see bands like supporting them. Pretty Reckless supported Stone Sour on the UK tour. I'm using Stone Sour as an example, like Trivium, Killswitch Engage, all kind of the same level-ish. I just don't know why we're not reaching their heights. They have less fans. That's a fact.
But why is that?
That's what we're trying to get down to, but it's one of these dances I've gone through where I can't really give myself an answer.
No.
Awkward. It's awkward. So I'm going to tell you something here.
Yep.
Bear with me on this.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to sound like the most anti-feminist person right now.
Okay.
Okay? So I don't believe, and I'm not a fan, ignore the don't believe, sorry, I'm not a fan of International Women's Day.
Okay.
Okay? I believe that if we keep perceiving that women are the lesser, then we become that. If you are good at your job, regardless of whether you have a dick or tits, it doesn't make any difference. I think that if you keep banging on about, and I quote, is there sexism, and I end quote, then it's creating a problem. What do you think of that quote?
Horrendously misguided.
Okay, that is a quote by Vicky Hungerford, a female, who is the Bloodstock person that runs Bloodstock.
Interesting.
So I wanted to read that quote out before I pointed out it was a female saying it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really misguided.
Yes, Sophie, I'm fully aware. Thankfully, it was not my quote.
Baby metal, though.
Baby metal, though.
That's interesting.
They're rising pretty quick.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's actually a very valid point that neither one of us thought about.
Nope.
They're kind of on point. They're kind of on that level now.
Yeah, they're
I mean,
actually
look
up
how
there.
fucking high up the bill they are at this download.
but they're so different. Not that saying it makes any difference to the point we're making. That's absolutely correct.
They have their niche.
Yeah, that's what puts them above the rest, maybe. But then are we saying the others are too stale? In this moment, have their niche, but they're not getting anywhere.
But then are we, by default, if we're sort of going from that stance, are we therefore saying that there are male-fronted bands out there that are, for all intents and purposes, not really worthy of having a status, but just do? Because I don't think so. I feel like...
I would not want them to headline. Fuck that. I like them live a lot, but not headline.
I mean, they will one year. It's going to happen if they carry on.
Not download with the hatred that Andy Copping has for him.
Does he really? Why does he book them then?
He didn't book them for years, and then Dragon Force brought them on as a special guest. So he's like, yeah, you're a special guest. And then he saw the fan reaction, so he gave in to business because he was like, that's right to do, because people want them there. And then they played a couple of years back, 2014, I think, maybe, I don't know, 15, and they slayed it. And then this year they are sub-headlining the second stage. Before
I actually thought they were main stage.
They're either sub-headlining the second stage, or they're third down on main stage.
I think they're third down main stage.
Yeah.
On the Sunday or the Saturday.
It's a Saturday, and then it's Guns Day. Yeah.
I'm going to go and see them. I don't give a
next
fuck.
Few years, I know, because it's quite difficult. Like, after I've analysed Copping for so long, there's certain things that'll get them. And if they have a headline, if they set out a headline arena tour in the UK, it's very likely. If they get a number one in the UK in the main charts, it's very likely. It's difficult, but yes. So, yeah, Baby Metal, good shout.
Yeah.
Now,
100%.
So that quote about International Women's Day, not being a fan of it, like I say, she did not say that I don't believe in it. That was my misinterpretation.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
She's not a fan of it, was her quote. That was by a woman. She runs Bloodstock, and I don't care about. I'm not going to go into International Women's Day or International Men's Day.
I can somewhat see what she's getting at to a degree. Like, if we carry on, it's the same thing with like what I was saying about like over feminism a minute ago. Like, it's to the point where it's fine to point out the faults that men have towards women. That's absolutely fine. Just the same as it should be fine for us to point out faults that females have towards us. I.e., if I'm face to face with a feminist, no, I'm not going to say that. Somebody that I would call a something else, like over feminism, to the point where it's like, all men are disgusting. Well, you're just as bad as everything that you hate. So, you know, fuck off. Quite frankly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that side of it I kind of get, because like, if we're going to make a problem out of it to the point where we're almost glorifying turning the whole gun back on itself and shooting this direction as if it's going to make the problem go away. It's like, okay, so we've shot you in the face a few times. Do you want to shoot us in the face a few times now? Make it fair? It's not a fucking solution. Like,
well, the point of feminism is to raise women to men, not to lower men to women.
Yeah. Or, in an ideal world, meet in the fucking middle somewhere. Because
they're still bringing men down a little bit.
So?
Just, yeah, no. Why bring anyone down? Raise women to the top. Well, to the top level with us.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, that's surely a better way of doing it, but...
Also add father's rights.
Yeah, well... That's not now.
So, moving on from that quote there, I have I have the full list of Download Festival headliners.
Yeah.
It was going to be a long one, wasn't
it? It is.
Download Festival headliners. Here's a full list of every band that has headlined Download and the amount of times they've done it. Okay, so Iron Maiden have done it 4 times. Audioslave, Linkin Park 4 times, Metallica 3 times, Feeder, Black Sabbath 3 times, System of a Down 3 times, Tool, Guns N' Roses, once so far, once coming up. My Chemical Romance, Kiss, The Offspring, Lost Prophets, Faith No More, Slipknot 3 times, Def Leppard 2 times, AC/DC, Rage Against the Machine, Aerosmith 3 times, The Prodigy, Rammstein 2 times, Avenged Sevenfold about to be for the 2nd time this year, Muse, Biffy Clyro.
Only second?
Only second headline, yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I thought this was like 3rd or 4th, man.
Nah, 2014 this year. Biffy Clyro, Ozzy Osbourne. Those are all of the headliners, including this year coming up.
Interesting that we mentioned Biffy in that, and I will go on to that in a little bit more detail.
Oh, excellent.
Very soon.
We may do that straight after this bit, before we go on to the last part. Yep. Okay, so, ignoring this year coming up, there has never been a woman in a Download headliner band. Wow. This year is the first year with Guns N' Roses with one of their newest members, Melissa Reese, who recently joined in 2016 or 15 in Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, on what?
Keyboard, I think.
Okay.
So
she's
this
not
year,
even in like a pinnacle part of the band as such.
But she is the first ever female member of a band that's headlined Download.
So she's, for all accounts and purposes, she's going to be the first female to ever step foot on a Download stage during headline slot. Yeah. Period.
Well, yeah, as part of the band. I'm not sure if maybe
all right.
Guns N' Roses had dances last time. Yeah. So this Melissa Reese is making history at Download this year by being the first woman to headline Download.
Crazy. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's since 2003. Download's been going.
That's fucked up.
And no female has headlined until this year.
What the fuck?
So that's pretty crazy little statistic that I found. It goes back to the old things. We won't go too far into it, but with festivals, what can we really like? It's about the fans. It's about the popularity of a band, and they're not going to sell unless they have more fans. And to get more fans, they've got to do something different, I guess. But we'll see.
Craziness.
Biffy Clyro, though, what are you going to say?
Well, so we'll get onto that in a minute. So, I decided that I was going to research into specifically sexual assaults.
We do that beforehand.
I mean, that's part of the Biffy thing.
Okay, right.
So Biffy is kind of included in that, and you'll see why. So when we first brought up the topic last week, and we started thinking about how we were going to sort of divvy up who was researching what, when I thought about sexual assault, I thought I'm going to take this one because I already know of a couple of really fucking bad incidents that should never have been allowed to happen. But I also researched some new ones. And then I asked myself the question, what are we doing about that? What are we doing about all of this? And one country in the world has gone to absolute fucking extremes that we will come on to in a minute.
Yes, we will.
So, when I think about sexual assault at a festival or a show, one festival in particular has been cited as the day that music died, largely due to the amount of sexual assault and rape that happened at one festival. So naturally, we're talking about Woodstock 99. For anybody that doesn't know, it was a horrendous year. The festival moved to Griffiths Air Force Base in upstate New York, which, when you're in English terms, in terms of weather, was hotter than any day that we've ever had over here.
Where was it located, sorry?
Griffiths Air Force Base in upstate New York.
Okay.
So yeah, fucking imagine... We're sort of talking Mediterranean temperatures. So, like Italy, for example, during the summer, with mid-30s or so, around that kind of temperature, on a fucking tarmacked Air Force Base. No shade, no grass, none of that, right? So, already conditions are shit.
Yeah.
At least 30 reported assaults, all of a sexual nature.
Right.
Only a handful dealt with legally. We're literally talking about 4 or 5 of those 30 that were reported and dealt with on site.
Right, okay.
Only a handful were dealt with legal action, i.e. the police being involved at all, which I'm not being funny. If somebody says that they've been sexually assaulted, to me that's a legal matter. But whatever.
Oh, yeah, definitely is, yeah.
44 arrests. Guess how many charges of sexual assault?
So when you say charges, you mean... They were actually arrested and taken away and put into court?
Yeah.
6.
1.
1.
1 in 44 arrests. 44 arrests of a festival that reported at least 30 cases of sexual harassment or sexual assault. 5 of which indeed being rape.
Right.
Full-blown rape.
By the way. Disgusting.
The worst of which... So eyewitnesses report a young petite woman, roughly about 100 to 120 pounds. So I'm sure me and you both know people that are about that small.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gang raped in the crowd during Korn's set.
Gang rapes.
Gang rapes.
How do you get away with that in the crowd?
Gang rapes. So she was crowd surfing, having the fucking time of her life, and eyewitness reports basically witnessed her being dragged from the top of the crowd into the crowd, and then when the people that had witnessed her being dragged from the crowd surf down to the floor managed to push their way through the crowd to get to her, they proceeded to find about 5 or 6 men, all aged between 25 and 36, holding her down, tiny, petite, £100 woman being held down by about 5 or 6 different guys, while the one guy that was free, they basically took it in turns.
That's fucking...
In the middle of a crowd,
fucked.
where there were, by happenstance, then that means that there are people that are literally witnessing this happen and doing nothing.
Yeah.
Fucking grim. MCs and crew on stage constantly told to show their titties.
Right.
So virtually anybody that came up to do a mic check or to redress the stage for the next band was, if they were female, were basically getting told to get their tits out. Some bands were shunned for prompting the assaults. So Limp Bizkit incited a fucking riot by playing Break Stuff live, which, to be fair, at a festival where everyone's pretty much like dehydrated and dying because of the sheer heat and the fact that bottles of water were, by mid-weekend, bottles of water were around $12. This is in 1999.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's disgusting.
It's about 30 quid a download now.
That's disgusting. 30 quid for water on a tarmacked Air Force base. How vile is that? So yeah, bands like Limp Bizkit and indeed Korn were shunned after by the press and by fans and by attendees and even by some of the promoters of the festival for basically inciting riots and inciting like behaviours in which rapes and stuff were allowed to occur in the crowd. For me, personally, that's a fucking massive cop-out on the festival doers' part, because they're basically blaming the people that paid money to go to that festival. They're basically blaming them people, and they're blaming the musicians that they billed, and taking zero responsibility for the fact that their security was shit. That's what I took from that.
Yeah, definitely.
Victim comes forth years later and describes how 2 men assaulted her with their fingers and, I quote, a foreign object.
Right.
Before one assailant raped her.
Great.
While the other one watched.
It isn't the band's fault. No, it's not the band's fault.
No, absolutely not. No. I mean, it's sometimes, yes. I mean, if you watch the live footage of, so, Chili Peppers, and I like Chili Peppers, so this is a bit different. At the end of their set, or towards the end of their set, they played a Jimi Hendrix cover of Fire. Is it Fire? I don't know. Something to do with fire anyway, but yeah, there's a Jimi Hendrix song. I'm not a fan of the song, I don't know it. But they basically outright said to the crowd, we're going to start a fire. And you're all going to help us.
Right.
And then they start playing the song, which was, granted, in their defence, okay, supposed to be a tribute to the first headliner of the first Woodstock. So, has its place there during the festival, but basically because they got up on stage and said, we're going to start a fire, you're going to help us, and people took that to mean, alright, let's set fire to merchant stalls, people's tents, the hangars. One of the hangars got burnt to the fucking ground.
Sorry, literally, when you said that, I was like, set fire to a coat hanger? Like, what?
No, hangars, like
no,
Griffiths Air Force Base hangars.
Yeah.
The patrol vehicles that were going around site.
You're up soon.
Yeah, the patrol vehicles that were going around site, a couple of those were rolled onto their roofs and set on fire.
Still the one.
It's fucking crazy. So, yes, while I agree that it's wrong for the festival to basically say it's entirely the band's fault, that's fucking wrong. It's entirely their own fault for having shit security, because actually, one point that I did skip over because I didn't fucking write it down and I was meant to, one of the witnesses of one of these rapes was a fucking police officer.
Great.
Who decided that because he had no backup readily available, it was too dangerous for him to intervene on a rape.
Great.
That's fucking vile.
That's mad, yeah.
Stark water prices, intense heat on the airbase, and general bad vibes cited to be the target of most attendees' cause for the chaos. Now, the reason that I've gone into so much depth over Woodstock 99 is because, like I said a minute ago, it's been vastly quoted as the day that music died because of the amount of sexual assault and disgustingness that occurred.
Yeah.
So that prompted me, and you also prompted me, to have a look into some more recent ones to see how much this still happens, essentially.
Or how little. Well,
How much or how little it still happens.
in comparison.
Or how relevant it still is to sort of, So,
and disclaimer, when we say how little it happens, it does not mean that
it
that's
happens
good.
little. No.
Yeah. 0 is perfect. Anything above that is terrible.
So I thought I would go straight with a punch to the ballsack and go for Download 2017.
Okay.
So after Biffy Clyro set, which is why we mentioned a minute ago.
Yep.
So, Victim met new friends.
On your phone, how do you lean on a keyboard?
So did Leah. No, she's not. She's on the laptop.
Oh, as you were.
Victim met new friends in the arena during the day or during the Biffy Clyro set, one of whom offered to walk her back to her tent in the early hours after Biffy, and the assault took place then. So,
It's fucked up.
this was last year.
Yeah.
Last year at Download, there was a sexual assault that still to this day nobody has been charged or even arrested for.
No, it's disgusting.
It is massively disgusting. Bravalla Fest in Sweden has been cancelled this year following 23 reported cases of sexual assault last year.
That's on top of 4 rapes.
On top of 4 rapes that were, so 23 assaults on top of 4 rapes has prompted them to cancel the festival.
Yeah, there's no Bravalla
this year.
2018.
No, not at all.
And Sweden, the land of Xander.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, Xander might be able to comment on this. As far as I know, Bravalla is one of the, if not the biggest festival in Sweden.
I don't know. They've had Rammstein headline before and Robbie Williams.
So I'm going to say yeah, most likely. Bravalla Fest in Sweden cancelled this year. In retaliation to this, however, so this is where I started asking myself, what are we actually doing to stop this? What is being done? And I started thinking about things that we could do. I did not expect to find the extreme that I did.
Yes.
And fair play to shedding some light on that. So in retaliation to the Bravalla Fest sexual assaults last year, a Swedish festival that was fundraised to find its foundations, called Statement Fest, announced that they were banning men from events. So now we have a female-only festival in the world.
Disgusting, isn't it?
I mean, it kind of goes against what I was saying a minute ago, really. You know, if we're gonna... there's no problem with pointing out the things that men do wrong, but that's a bit of an over-retaliation, isn't it? That's kind of like... It
goes exactly with the phrase that the word has skipped my mind. Tar everyone on the same brush. What's the...
Generalising.
Yeah, we're generalising.
Like stereotyping.
Yeah, every single man as sexual assault. Now, I fully agree with something being done. Banning men is not the way to go about it.
No, because that does presuppose that every man is out to sexually assault or rape somebody, and that's just disgusting.
Yeah, Bravalla.
Yeah, awesome.
So, no longer a thing.
No longer a thing?
At least not this year. There's many things that can be done, which we'll go into in our final few questions of the topic in a moment.
Yes.
But there is... That's not the way to go about things. That's not right.
No, definitely not. Fucked up.
Yeah, it is. So, in the final few questions of this, firing off from the first question of this.
Go.
Since researching,
yes,
do we feel that sexism is more prevalent, less prevalent, or the same as expected before our research?
I would say, in terms of being like, I would say I didn't expect it to be as common universally or globally as it is. I figured that there would be places that it's kind of worse for. I certainly didn't expect Downloads to be on that list, but virtually every single festival that you can think of, if you literally type the name of that festival followed by sexual assault, there is a case that's been reported.
I didn't think it would be so much in metal as other genres. I still think it isn't. But for that to happen at that festival, for the thing to happen at Download, yeah, that's shocking. Because you kind of see Download as your family. Everyone there is the same kind of person.
Yeah. Donington family, Donington. Metallica.
It's more prevalent than I actually thought.
Is this an issue with music festival, or is this an issue with having tens of thousands of alcohol and drug-fueled people in the same place? I mean, that is a festival. That is...
Well, it's a very good question in terms of... It's
100%.
It's not the fault of the festival... But yeah, the more people that's in one particular place, off their face, or sometimes sober.
It's not the fault of the festival.
No.
So you think it's perfectly acceptable, therefore, for Woodstock to have employed...
I'm talking more recently, to be fair.
Oh yeah, but I think that's massively the fault of the festival.
So you'd blame the festival for those rapes?
No, not for the actual rapes themselves. I think that's obviously down to the people that are deciding to rape somebody. That's disgusting. I think it is down to the festival to provide safety for people to not have to worry about that shit. And certainly enough security at a festival should be in place that people don't get gang raped in the middle of the fucking crowd.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's the fault of the organisers of the festival 100%. And who they hired.
100%.
In most cases, so Download, that's 2 out of 70 approximate thousand people. There's no way people can patrol every walk or tent.
And that's not the fault of the festival.
No.
I think Download, as far as festivals go, Download is pretty secure.
It's down to the...
First time I know a bunch of guys going around trying to take girls' underwear.
I remember that, Alex, yeah. Jess, in fact, his girlfriend at the time, Jess Rockton, she was not assaulted, but she was harassed heavily by them. And that was just not cool. And that was our festival, Download 09. And it was just kind of like, oh, fuck. Back to Ryan's question. It's not the fault of the festival in most cases, I would say. But yes... But even so, being around that tens of thousands of people with alcohol or drugs, or even being sober, I've gone to Download. It's my 10th one in a row coming up in a couple of weeks. I've not assaulted anyone ever because that's not what I like to do. So if it's the fault of a festival, or if it's even the fault of that many people being around, it's no, because then everyone will be doing it. It's sick, deranged individuals that have that idea in their head that this is a good idea.
I just feel like in terms, as far as the festival's involved and as far as they could be to blame for it, there should be enough measures in place that if sick and twisted people decide to try and be sick and twisted, they should get brought down to the fucking ground and arrested there and then, ideally. But it's not always doable when you've got like 15, 20,000 people stood in front of one stage. If a gang rape's happening right in the middle of it, there's a good chance it's going to go unnoticed by the people outside of that crowd. But then, I mean, that instantly makes me feel like straight away there's so many people to blame in that particular instance. Let's take Woodstock, for example, because there were people that were stood around that did nothing. So they're not just as much to blame as the people raping, obviously, but...
They're not good people.
They're not good people.
No.
And, it's all fine and well for, like... festival organisers to come up on the stage in between bands and say, like, please, there are people getting hurt out there, like, our medics can't get to people, they're at this place, can you go and watch them? And, like, we're all brothers and sisters, and there's there's actually a quote from one of the festival organisers who was fucked off of his fucking nut, who got up on stage, cried a little bit because of the assaults, the news of the assaults and stuff and the fires had gotten back to, like, the heads of the festival. Mm-hmm. One of them went up on stage and said, "If you haven't already, don't touch the brown acid." So yeah, it was a really drug-fueled weekend.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And that, to me, just kind of shows that the organisers had no control over it whatsoever.
Yeah.
They had zero control over that festival. And as far as I'm concerned, that much is the festival's fault.
Following on from Ryan Harkness's point, he has said, sorry, just playing devil's advocate, it's the fault of the individual, obviously.
100%.
Don't apologise, that's a fair question to ask to garner conversation.
Definitely.
And yeah, we agree that if we saw somebody... So you'd like to think that if someone saw it, they would stop it. I mean, I guess if it's another petite woman seeing it, what is she going to do? But at the same time, she could.
I mean, to be fair, interestingly that you say that, because this gang rape was actually stopped by a woman.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, a woman who had had enough. Good. And eyewitness reports that watched. This is the part that really disturbed me as well. Is that there's one eyewitness that watched the whole thing, including the woman afterwards. So he's literally. Whether or not he could get to where the thing was taking place or not is questionable. But my argument would be, if you can see that it's happening enough to be able to give an eyewitness report afterwards, then you were close enough to intervene.
Yeah.
So I think he is just as much to blame in a sense,
nearly
apart
as much,
from
yeah,
nearly as much as not making the choice goes. I did have a point that wasn't tangential to what we're talking about to make there, and I've kind of forgotten it. People are fucking sick, man.
Yeah, so the point is we both feel that... But I feel that sexism is. I now know more about it.
Yeah, I feel like in that sense, yeah, it's more prevalent.
So I mentioned before that I knew a fair amount about it already. Go break them, can I? Agreed. Well, I said at the beginning of the podcast that I knew something, so I knew about the Revolver articles. I didn't know about the men's comparison. I thought there was none. That doesn't make it any better. There's a fucking singular vote.
No, yeah, but it's it's educating nonetheless, because we would have come into this assuming that there was no such thing at all.
Yeah. While I specifically looked into the download headliners, I never realised there was no female. I just never thought of it.
Have either of you ever seen anything? I've been going to gigs since mid-90s, don't know.
No, I've not either. And I've been to a lot of gigs.
So, Foo Fighters 2011 at the Bowl. Just as Foo began their set, there was a girl that was trying to get out of the pits at the front who kept getting dragged back in by groups of guys that she claimed not to know.
Right.
But having said that, so obviously people got involved then, at least. Yeah. People intervened then, because she was saying that she didn't know them. Having said that, about an hour before we were leaving the venue, me and Dobbs both saw her with these people, like dancing around and stuff. Okay. So either she knew them before and lied about it and was just being a dick, or she got fucked up during the gig and just thought, do you know what, fuck it, they've shown me some attention, I'm going to go and do it. So she went back to a potentially dangerous situation by choice. The same people that separated them in the first place went back over and checked on her to make sure that she was there of her own free will. She basically told them to fuck off.
Nice.
So in that sense, no, I've never really seen anything too major. And it transpired that she was basically a bit of a twat and went back anyway. I personally, I think you're a bit of a bellend to do that. If somebody's going to show signs of malice or ill intent towards you, and then you're going to willingly walk back into that situation, then you're a bit of an idiot. But
yeah.
Whatever.
Sophie's heard stories but has not had anything herself, luckily. So the final two questions to top off this topic. So are we moving forward in the right direction to make things better?
No.
Don't think so?
Not yet.
You don't think there's...
I don't think there's enough going on, no. I mean, festivals that we go to, i.e. Download, I don't really feel like there's too many measures that they have to take, because it doesn't happen all the time. I think in really extreme circumstances, like Woodstock, I feel like there had to have been 1,000,001 things that they could have done differently.
But that is 19 years ago.
Yeah.
So at this current time, are we moving forward in putting? First of all, in terms of organisers and security, do you feel like there's enough of those at gigs? Because at gigs, the problem like normal gigs, you've got the security at the front for crowd surfers. Where else can there really be? You can't have security members standing in the crowd.
No.
But also in terms of the fans, in terms of the men that do this, it all falls down to education, obviously, and to not be a cunt. Now, we can't really educate adults. Well, we can, but it's their choice whether to listen, whereas the education that you kind of impose on you is when you're younger. By the way, when I go into your point, when I say, well, do you not think that was also me playing devil's advocate? I'm not sure if we're moving forward, because I don't know of anything in place. It's happening.
I don't think we're moving forward enough. I think we have done since events like that. I don't think it's enough at this stage, though, because clearly if it's still happening to a point where even we, people that were going into this with an opinion already, and we still came out shocked on the other end, to a degree, with how much it's happening, it's still obviously happening enough that it's a real problem and it's not getting dealt with.
Yep. Final question. What can we do to help improve stuff?
As two individuals?
Yeah.
Fuck diddly all, apart from maybe give out some fucking numbers at the end of the podcast or whatever and say, if you ever witness somebody being assaulted, fucking don't even bother calling this number, just go and punch them straight in the fucking face.
I would say if...
Not the person being assaulted, just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I think...
you look like you're having a bad time. Bang!
At a gig...
Don't do that.
At a gig, always intervene if you can.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But again, that's not something we can do better personally. I think it's very difficult unless... I think as a whole, fans should keep their eyes out more. Yeah. I know it's hard when you're watching your band and you're fucking loving it and you don't really want to look to your right and left now and again.
I mean, I'm not being funny. I've never seen Avenged Sevenfold and I'm really fucking excited to see Avenged Sevenfold.
Yes.
I would stop 100% listening to the first show of theirs that I've ever been to. I would 100% totally disengage myself from what's happening on the stage.
I can't help that with Avenged, yeah, that's me.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm looking forward to going and seeing them. I can't wait. It's probably the act I'm looking forward to the most over the entire weekend at this point in time. I would still, being my first show going and seeing them, I would still completely disengage with them being on stage if I witnessed somebody getting assaulted next to me. 100%.
Yeah, if you witnessed it, then of course, even I would do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like 100%.
Yeah, but
so I think if everyone carries that same attitude, like have fun until something serious is happening, and in which case help.
Yeah, I think that's a fair fucking shout. Sophie says if festivals are willing to raise awareness around the issue, remind people that if they see it, they have a responsibility to say something, and people need to pressure the industry into figuring it out. Yeah, it's fair, but again, it's also all good pressuring them without an idea. Well, there's no good pressuring them without an idea. We have to have ideas ourselves to pressure them with, and if enough people stick to that idea, then that's that.
We can only hope that things improve.
So I guess the best thing to say is don't sexually assault anyone ever. I think it's also worth pointing out that the overall rock and metal is not very sexist to men. I think we figured it out by talking nothing about men.
So
unless people want to claim sexism, there's not enough hunky articles about hunky men. But again,
I think that's not really the problem, though. We've already kind of discussed that the problem is there's too many about sexy women.
Yeah.
It's not that there's not enough about men. We don't care for that shit. We don't want that shit. But similarly, I can understand why women don't want it as much as they get it.
There you go. There you fucking go.
And that is
our longest topic probably so far of sexism. So thank you for that part. But there's still so much more to come. So next up we have the.
I can't.
We haven't even hit 2 hours yet.
I don't give a fuck. I've got work. I'm not.
Rob, it's like I told you it's been really long tonight.
Yeah.
And to start on time and stuff.
I mean, I virtually did. It was like 3 minutes.
3 minutes we'll never get back. We've still got a whole fucking third place tournament.
Yes. So,
right.
Let's pick this shit up.
I'd say we've been pretty fucking fast the whole way through. It's just so much to go through with sexism.
I know, which is kind of bad, really, because I feel like information was just coming out in spades for this topic. I basically got most of my research from like 3 or 4 different sources. Because it was so intense and so in depth.
So we are now going to review the debut full-length album by Our Untold Story, and it is called My Dreams, My Rules. So we are always fully brutal and honest with our opinions. We've said it before, and we decided to review this before we actually listened to it, because it's not actually out yet. And Mr. Zana Turian, because I forgot to write it down, if you would please comment when your album is out. I believe it's June 3rd, but I may be wrong. So, let's get started with the review, okay? So, it starts off with the intro, called Intro.
Yes.
Brackets, My Dreams, My Rules. I'm going to be honest, to me it was a bit unnecessary of an intro.
Okay. I actually thought it was quite cool.
I didn't think it added anything. Like, it was only 16...
Did you not?
No, it was only 16 seconds long. This is why I kind of like EDM festivals. People will be mid-set and call people out they see doing stuff they shouldn't, or they stopped the set last night, or stop their set to help. Last night had a guy called Zomboy who would somehow hear people shout medic, completely stopped and made it so staff could get to the person. That's fair.
Awesome.
That's great.
That's awesome.
I will throw out also, I'm not putting down your point at all. Architects and Foo Fighters have also done that.
Yep.
Not EDM. They're not EDM. EDM also do it. Cool. So, yes. I didn't really feel like the opening track added anything. It's kind of like a radio changing station with a bit of our own
release
story.
party June 1st, global release June 3rd.
I was right, June 3rd. Tasty stuff. So
I actually really liked it. You're right, it's short, it's simple. But what I quite liked about it is that for Our Untold Story, the intro was very untelling. Like, I could have imagined it going into a soft song, which kind of does. More on that story as it develops. But I could have also imagined with the distorted sort of sounds fading in and out and stuff, I could have imagined literally like the second track opening up to somebody just going like it could have gone either way kind of thing. I knew it wasn't going to go that way because I've listened to some of their stuff before. So yeah, I quite liked that aspect of it.
Okay.
It was very untelling and very mysterious.
We go into the first full song, which is Calm Seas Don't Make Good Sailors. And I found this is like a very, very catchy song.
Yeah. A lot softer than what I would listen to.
Yeah, so we're better to point it out now. This is not an album or a genre we would usually listen to.
And we do have to factor that.
We do, yeah. 100%. So of course it's our personal opinion, but we're also taking into account the ability that these members play, their instruments or their voice. And yes, I must point out, yes, check out the band on www.ouruntoldstory.com, as Zan has said in the comments. I will, as we do a placeholder, I will be posting links up during the week, and it's also worth pointing out that this is the second album on our Unsigned.
Yes,
Week.
fucking
Unsigned
mates.
Club.
I'm really happy that we're doing this.
Yes,
actually.
it's really good. Shows more, well, it's not just about the big bands.
Diversity.
So we have, so please carry on. Did you finish on the Sailor song?
On Calm Seas, no. So a lot softer than what I would listen to. So therefore I found it a bit sort of hard to get into personally. But the vocals I found straight away were very well suited for the feel of everything else. Like the music kind of set a vibe, and then when the vocals came in, it was just kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, that works. That works really well.
Right, cool.
So yeah.
Zana has pointed out, I believe it was about the intro, it makes more sense on the vinyl.
Okay.
The radio change. So we go on to the song of Sexy Blonde. So to me, the drums seem basic on this one, but that does fit with the style of the music.
Yeah, I mean, it was very AC/DC kind of guitar work straight away for me. I will say this, actually, as an album, and I know that we won't go into overall kind of thing just yet. As an album, I found it very easy to pick out potential influences. Like,
yeah,
a lot of it sounded like, oh, okay, that's quite similar to what this band would do, or like, instantly that makes me think of this. And there's another song in a while that we will touch upon that a little bit more. I got AC/DC very much from the guitar work straight away.
They are in this day and age, they're their own band. I can't really go, oh, they sound like this band that's current, because they don't.
No, they don't.
They're their own thing.
Yeah, 100%. I got that pretty quickly, actually. So.
Yeah, I said there was a tasty guitar solo at the end of Sexy Blonde as well, which I really liked.
Yeah. And that was pretty much, yeah. For me, it was a slightly better song than Calm Seas. I found Calm Seas to be like, okay, it's cool, but not what I would listen to. There's a good chance that I would potentially pick that out as a song that
Sexy
I would listen
Blonde,
to.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
Which, I'm not going to lie, for me personally, the name of the song was kind of like, really? I'm not sure about this. It turned out to be one of the better ones on the album.
I kind of laughed because I picked up, I was like, along with this topic, shit.
Didn't even click.
So yeah, next we go on to the track work, and I will not apologise for my opinions, although I was about to say sorry. This is the worst song on the album.
Okay.
This I do not get on with work. I like the instruments, and I even like Xander's. I even like Xander's vocal style.
Fucking Xander.
It's just the lyrics on this one I found to be very basic and uninspired.
Okay. For me, it was quite musically similar to a fair amount of stuff that you could potentially pick out on the radio anywhere else. So it didn't really stand out. So for me, it kind of was quite flat throughout most of it. Yeah. For me personally.
Sorry, bro.
3AM Boy.
We go into the best song on the record so far.
Okay, yeah.
Has a proper rock and roll vibe.
Yeah.
And by the way, I said rock and roll before I looked at the track listing. I was just going through with it. And there's one that literally mentioned later on.
Yes.
The guitar work, especially towards the end of the track, is great. The lyrics seem a lot more passionate on this.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to say about 3AM Boy.
Yeah. And it stood out against what I'd heard on the album so far. Very much so. It was the first song that made me think like, cool. And that was including Sexy Blonde, which very is up there for me as well. Yeah, that's the point with work, because work makes
If that's the look you were going for, then great. You succeeded.
Yeah.
If work has a video on YouTube, I would checking it out, because sometimes, as we mentioned in a previous podcast, videos can make or break a song.
Yep.
There are songs
100%.
I've not liked, and I've watched a video and going, I can get into this.
That was like episode 11 or some shit like that.
Perhaps.
Somewhere around there. Somewhere around that mark, guys. Go and check it out.
But yeah, 3AM Boy was great.
Yeah, really liked it. So far at this point in time, it was very much like this brought it back up.
Yeah, okay,
brought
cool.
it back up very nicely.
So no
not
regrets.
To say that it stays there.
No regrets. For me, this is a song that just makes you want to dance. It's a shame it's so short, but I was just kind of like jiggling along to it. I was like, yeah, I can deal with this. It's good.
Instant reminder of a couple of songs. One of which being Roxanne by The Police.
Yes, Ryan, it will be. Thank you very much.
Sick. Yes. Instant reminder of The Police straight away. Roxanne. Yeah. Just for the guitar work entirely and the little
Roxanne.
Yeah.
Is that the police?
Yeah. What?
What am I thinking of then? Rod Stewart. What? It's just a song that's similar to name, I think.
Is Roxanne the
What's
police?
the
What?
She was a playgirl. That one.
I don't know. I'd probably know it if I heard it.
If anyone knows who Rod Stewart, please let me know.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not reviewing Rod
She
Stewart.
was a showgirl.
Yeah, so... No Regrets.
Yeah.
The next song.
That was the one we just did, yeah.
Oh, is it?
That was the dance
Instant
one.
Reminder of the Police. Yeah. Funny that. Yeah.
2 Miles West is the next tune.
Thank you. I quite like the western feel to it as well. It's kind of got like a little bit of a...
Did you feel that, did you?
A little bit.
Inside your veins. Inside your veins, yeah, it felt good.
I mean, it wasn't like a drug or anything, but it was alright. It sounded pretty cool. I feel like it fits the name of the song very well.
Here's a word I've used quite a lot. It's another catchy one.
It's a
lot of
catchy
Zelda's
number. Yeah, love the western feel to the guitar. It's quite different in relation to some of the rest of the album. For me, though, it's not what I would choose to listen to, and therefore I was picking out all of these good things to say about it, but I was still like, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I really tried to push that to the back of my head, like, should be done, by also keeping it in mind. I mean, I would have rated Carnival a 0 and this Periphery a 0 based on the fact if I just didn't want to listen to it, because I don't. But you really got to think about the technical stuff they've done, the ability they have to play the instruments, and if it sounds right to the music they're doing, which I feel like it does.
Yeah, it really does.
So with I said about 2 Miles West also that I just can't not compliment the guitarist's work. He's fucking good.
Yeah, very much so.
So Mother of Rock and Roll.
Yeah. Again, this is where I started picking out a lot more, like quite a few more influences. Back to more sort of simple stuff, like musically. But again, it's not what I would choose to listen to, but at the same time, I'm like you, I was trying my best to sort of think about its relevance and where it is in the album and stuff. Yeah, nothing too bad to say about it, nothing amazing to say about it. It was just kind of like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What did you have to say about
I
that?
said that the drums pick up on this song too.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a dig at the previous song for the drums, as again, like I mentioned before, it suits it before. Suits the music itself. It would be weird to have...
I mean, they're all very good at the instruments that they play.
Yeah, it would be weird to have this music with...
Crazy rev style drums.
Yeah, not right.
No.
Oh, hello. Very hooky album in general. Yeah, damn right. So, moving on to... yeah, I said again at the end of that, great guitar parts, because it just... The guitarist, dude, if you're alive and around... Fair play to you, so I'm really enjoying the guitar work. So we move on to Goodbye New World. For some reason I recognise this. I might have been on the EP. I might be imagining things. But, catch one again.
Yep.
The guitars and drums on this particular track, like while they've been good beforehand, or really good, or great, on this they just seem to really...
kind of moulded into one.
It really complemented each other on that one.
Yeah, I agree. It just flowed. And it was... I wrote down that it was kind of plain and simple but effective, and I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wouldn't change it.
So going on to our final song.
Yes.
Of the review. Strong Ones, in brackets, Our Untold Story. So, as a reoccurring theme, this is a catchy one. The solo guitar parts continue to impress, especially towards the end of the song. No, especially showing that he can really play various styles. In this song, it's actually scattered throughout.
Yeah, and it was really ambient in places as well. It wasn't like craziness, like shredding solo. It was just very like, I don't know, like, yeah, like sweepy, swift, and just clean, sharp, melodic kind of solo. I like that.
Yep. So, overall...
Overall...
I'll let you go first.
I mean, it was difficult for me. It's just not for me, and that's that. But that's me. 100% that is my own opinion.
That's where I recognise it from, yes, because I was there.
There
Front row, boy!
Some really fucking tasty guitar parts on the album, and that really raised its stock for me. Being a drummer, and knowing what kind of drums I like during songs.
We could have mentioned Go for Broke. Dun dun dun.
So yeah, we've only. Am I even allowed to say that we've only touched upon a certain part of the album? Or...
No.
No. Okay.
You
Sick.
probably said it loud enough anyway, but no.
Sick. I mean, it's already the game's up. The jig's over. Yeah. So I mean, throughout most of the album, I couldn't shake that thought. Like, I wouldn't choose to listen to this myself. But then this kind of music's not readily available.
No,
everywhere.
it's not.
So, and that makes me wonder how much of that is because it's not readily available. How would I find myself getting into these guys a bit more if I just listened to them a bit more? Probably is the answer to that question. Probably. And in that sense, I almost feel like perhaps I've gone one mark too low.
You have the time to change it before you say it.
No, I'm going to stick with it because there were songs on here that just fell a bit flat for me. Yeah. So are you ready to give overall review?
I'll say my bit before my number.
Yeah, go for
So, again, like Rob, this is not my usual style of music, and it is not a genre I would usually listen to, although it's close to our genres of choice. However, we're reviewing in terms of ability, as well as that, so more so than our... Yeah, we're reviewing in terms of ability more so than our preferences. I think every member plays his parts extremely well.
Yep.
It suits the band. I want to hear more. Like
I do.
so
Yeah, I do.
I think it was my first ever review on here back in the days when it was just Deciphered. Well, it still was just Deciphered.
So like a written review.
Yeah, before the podcast became, and we had our 3-year gap before Rob was live as part of the podcast. I believe Our Untold Story Our Untold Story EP was my first review, and fucking loved it. That set the bar high. This hasn't shat all over it at all, not at all. It's just this seems less heavier, more rock and rolly, which is a vibe that they're into. And I think it's great because there should be more bands like that. If you want a band that's a proper old school rock and roll vibe and you're enjoying it, and that's your kind of genre, or at least something that interests you, then I definitely suggest going to check this album out on the 3rd of June 2018.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with that comment as well, that there's not enough like it.
No, agree.
It's not readily available.
So I said all members play their parts well, but I have to give that extra shout out to the guitarist.
Fair enough. I agree. It's difficult for me because it hasn't necessarily garnered like a high mark from myself, but there's still not a thing I would change about it. So in that sense, it really is. A couple of the songs feeling a bit flat in general for me, brought it down a couple of marks, and then a couple of marks on top of that for it just not being what I can easily get myself into. Having said that, I then added another mark because it's like, is that because it's not readily available? Very much so over here especially. And I think it is because of that. Because actually, listening to
there
the
are
album,
3 of them, brilliant. A combination Xander, I'd say, because I don't know which one's which, but there were...
the lead guitarist is very good, unless there's a couple...
Some of the rhythm as well, though, actually.
I mean, yeah, the guitar work in general on the album was really good, and the vocal style as well, I wouldn't change that.
No.
I don't think I don't think vocals would have sounded right with it any other way.
No,
That's what I mean. I wouldn't change things about it. It's just I'm hard pressed to get into it. That's all.
I'd agree with that, Natalie. There's definitely something for everyone in the album, unless they're like we only like Die Artist Murder.
Yeah, I mean, if you're literally wanting to get your fucking eardrums bleeding from being screamed at, they're not a band for you.
No.
If you want to listen to
little
good
jig.
musicians play their instruments really quite well,
I believe to share it all between them. In that case, compliments to you all. Compliments to the chef.
And compliments to the fucking vocals as well, because I wouldn't change them. I genuinely wouldn't change them.
No.
I don't think the band would sound right with anybody else on vocals at all. Having said that, don't get rid of your guitarists. Your drummer's fine, I guess.
Suits the music.
It does, yeah. Not necessarily the sort of drumming that I play myself, and not the sort of drumming that stands out to me on an album and makes me think, what a sick drummer. But you're right. Again, I wouldn't change it because it suits the music.
Yeah.
Overall mark, sir, what have you given it?
Well, I think I should say it last, just so I want to make sure we end on a high, if you're saying that yours is quite low.
It depends. I mean, how high is yours?
Mediocrely.
Mediocrely high. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Did you?
Yes, because I was hard pressed between... So originally it sat at a 5, because I thought...
Quartz and Verters, yeah.
I
I feel like it won't mix.
I originally gave it a 5 because I really did struggle to get into it at first. I was sat into the car listening to it again earlier thinking, I just don't know how I feel. And then bits and bobs started standing out to me a lot more. Like certain parts of the guitar work and stuff like that. And the more and more I thought about it, the more I thought like, okay, so as an example, Work is a song that I sort of was listening to and thought, okay, do you know what I mean? Like it didn't carry me off my feet or anything like that. It didn't sweep me off my feet. And I started asking myself, okay, so what would I change about that? And genuinely, I wouldn't change a thing. So it's really quite fucking tricky for me. I wouldn't change a thing about it, but it's just not. I don't know. I think it would probably get a higher mark from me if we were given another couple of weeks, or if there was like 2 albums of theirs for us to review, and we were given a mark on both of them, and we were given like a couple of weeks to listen to it. I think so, because I think for me, where I haven't listened to anything quite like it, you have to get over that initial like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like a week was long enough to do that, really, because it is so different. And that's a good thing, because so much shit sounds exactly the same nowadays that it's fucking good to have something stand out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm not going to raise your bar. I'm not going to lower it. I voted. I gave it a 6 out of 10 as well. Excellent. So for pretty much all the reasons that we've gone through already, it's definitely something you can get into. As you said, by the way, they've got a new drummer since the album was recorded, and he's a beast apparently.
Excellent.
And we should watch it live. Therefore, you should tour the UK.
I would come to a
live
show.
Album that comes out. Yeah, I'd go to your show again.
Yeah, I would go to a show if you came over to the UK. 100%. Just listening to this alone, I would go to a show. That's enough.
Yeah,
that's enough.
It's something that's just out of the ordinary. It's like, I'll go due to this. Like when I went and saw Shania Twain. I mean, no one's got shit on Shania Twain. Sorry, Xander. But yeah,
I mean, like, yeah. So for me, it would be like they're sort of so slap bang down the middle for me that I really don't know how I feel. I bet they are the type of band that if I went to go and see live, I would walk out of there thinking I have a brand new appreciation for this band.
Yeah, they're really fun.
So please do come over to the UK, bro, because I would really, really, really like to come to a show.
Well, look at all the love. All over my face.
So that is our untold story.
Yeah. New, My Dreams, My Rules, June 3rd. Fucking check it out.
Do you know what?
And they're negotiating with UK bookings right now. Help us promote a show in MK. We will do that maybe. We'll have a
I would get all over that.
Little nudge to certain hall.
Yes.
Jason Hall, certainly, maybe, of the Crawford Arms, but we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
We don't have much say. It's not like they're out there in the promoter world. But yeah, work with us. Now then, I'm going to give you the executive decision to decide if we're going to continue and do this tournament today or next week because of your issues.
Get the box.
Get the box. That's what I was hoping for. It's the fucking semi-finals +1 of the Cypher tournament.
So in English, that basically means we are deciding 3rd place today for the tournament. So we have our final, which we are yet to decide when that's happening.
Night Sweden. Yes, that will be happening at some point in the
Thanks, Xander.
Near future.
Yep, carry on releasing music. You've probably already gone, but come over to the UK and we will definitely promote the fuck as much as we possibly can.
Thank you, Natalie, for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank
you, everyone, for tuning in.
We are discussing and deciding 3rd place. The tournament final will be soonish, and that will be Pantera versus Slipknot. Voting will start this week for that in a new way for the final.
Fantastic.
Now, we have 4 topics to discuss.
Yep.
It's the decider of 3rd place, it's Avenged Sevenfold, it's My Chemical Romance, 1-on-1. 4 topics. Are you ready?
I'm fucking moist.
Would you like to do the honours first? I'm really thirsty, by the way. It would so be amazing. Promote the fuck. Promote the fuck. Yes, promote the fuck. It would be so amazing if we happened to have somebody nearby that could bring me water.
I mean, I'm going to pour you some.
You're right nearby.
I am.
Like I said. Got an issue eyeball. Right, would you like to, do the on airs. Thank you very much, sir. That's very kind. I don't know why when I poured it towards my face, I got a stench of vodka. I have no idea why.
I mean, it has had brandy in that glass.
Oh, yeah, I watched that thoroughly.
Thoroughly.
A7X, MCR.
And topic number 1 is going to be best album.
And original artwork.
Closely followed by the third topic of current relevance.
Oh shit.
Oh my diggity daffodils.
Dropped everything.
I mean, it's fine.
What was that, sorry? Current relevance.
Current relevance.
Oh, that's actually a tight one.
No.
Toiga.
No, it's
And
not.
finally, discography.
Wow, this is in the bag.
Should we go first on A7X?
Yes.
Best album.
Wow. So, in your opinion, that is Waking the Fallen.
No.
Didn't even need to ask, really.
Nope.
Um,
What's yours?
It's really fucking difficult for me, actually. I was just thinking, perhaps this is a question that I should have tried to have an answer for in my head before asking you, knowing that you would have an answer in your head.
Didn't last time when we did this, we settled on the self-titled?
Yeah,
We have to choose one.
It's very, very much between that and the stage for me, and it pretty much depends on which one I'm listening to at the time.
Right, yes.
If
I
I
prefer
had
self-titled.
to pick a favourite, I think it is still just self-titled.
Right, perfect.
Just.
So we will...
I fucking love the stage, though. I think that is art
Yeah.
in its fucking grandest form.
I agree.
So
So
it's tough.
Avenged Sevenfold versus... Should we... So you don't know Three Cheers that well.
I don't know, but I trust your opinion on MCR, so if you want to go with that, we can go with that. Because as an album, Black Parade isn't amazing, it isn't shit for me.
Yeah.
It's just kind of...
Shush, Sophie, I know
it's
what you're about to say.
Parade.
So let's go with Avenged Sevenfold. We can brisk through this pretty quickly, to be fair, as we've discussed this album already for Best Album.
Yep.
It's worth pointing out in the final, even if we've discussed it before, we're going to go through it again.
Yeah,
It's the
massively,
final.
because it's the final. And we all love that shit.
Yes. So,
Best
my friend.
album.
Avenged Sevenfold, the self-titled, goes through so many different styles. It's a magical journey of life.
And Gunslinger and Lost and...
Prom to Cocktail and at least Little Piece of Heaven.
And just every song on the album.
Life. Yeah, it's such a good album. So good.
It is incredible to the point where, yep, I'm listening to it after this is over.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I know who I'm picking. But
That's fair. Ooh, it could change everything. Three Cheers to Sweet Revenge. There's some fucking killer tracks in there as well. Ghost of You, Ghost of You, Ghost of You. Even though I'm not okay, I quite like it.
yeah, I don't give a fuck how much people say it's been overplayed. It's a good song.
Yeah, man.
It's a fucking
And it
good song.
fit the era so well.
Yeah, 100%. That is the fucking emo national anthem.
It is, yeah, totally.
I'm not okay. Trust me. We know. Stop cutting your wrists.
Wow, okay. We appreciate everyone. So, there's other songs in there as well. Cemetery Drive, that's got like a weird special meaning to me. The Venom song, Thank You for the Venom, that's a fucking tune. Fucking Helena is amazing.
Ghost of You.
Ghost of You.
Ghost of You.
Fucking Ghost of You.
Mate, that song gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Like,
Still.
mad.
When he does that fucking
goosebumps.
high raise of a voice.
Mad goosebumps. It's mildly scary.
Mm.
It's mildly scary. The first time I listened to that song, I was so affected on a level that I just didn't anticipate MCR would ever be able to reach. And haven't done since, surprisingly. Sarcastically, surprisingly.
Okay.
I mean, I still know who I'm picking.
Yeah, who'd you pick?
Avenged.
Avenged Sevenfold.
100%.
Okay, bye.
That's in the bag. So, 1-0.
Image and artwork, starting off with Avenged Sevenfold. Now, you've got the fucking Cam Rackham.
Cam Rackham.
You've got the Death Bat.
Yep. Pinnacle. We've been over it, so...
Yep, pretty much. We have got album covers such as City of Evil, which is an incredible album cover with the horse and the city burning. And like the full-length Death Bat, if you can call it that.
And then we also touched upon image and artwork with Avenged last time, and we decided that they had like a graphic album and then a plain album. And then
Yeah, so Sound Seven Trumpet is graphic, Waking the Fallen not, City of Evil graphic, self-titled not, Nightmare graphic, Hail to the King not, and the stage graphic.
Stage, incredible.
Yeah, so album 8's probably going to have no graphic. Probably just a death bat of some sort, but they could just change the game. Stage, I really like the artwork for it with the little like nebula planet.
Video for a little piece of heaven.
Yes,
always worth a mention.
Yeah, it does.
Always worth a mention, but
in fact, the music videos for fucking Nightmare and Caesar Day were fucking incredible as well, and so far. Anyway, so also the Nightmare cover is fucking glorious.
Yeah,
heartbreakingly glorious.
Yeah, 100%.
As for the actual image, back in the day it was very gothic looking. Now it's kind of like just some guys. That's fine.
I mean, how many bands do we know that have been through that? That's basically what Pantera started. Was they went through the whole hair metal thing and then decided no, we just want to wear jeans and be comfortable.
Yeah,
and they did, and that genuinely did set a trend.
Yeah. So, MCR, I actually quite like the artwork for 3 Cheers with like the lovers or what they are, well, I guess the lovers. And their image overall, so first of all, go to the Black Parades. The artwork for that was pretty intense and incredible.
Yep.
Like, their whole dressing of it as well, their image around that period was pretty crazy. Their image is massive.
I'm just making sure my mother hasn't messaged.
So,
image and artwork.
what would you say about... Fair enough, Sophie. Fair enough.
Can you just imagine having them Shadows ears?
I wouldn't dream of it.
No, I wouldn't.
So, what do you think about MCR's image? Like, it's...
I don't know enough about it. To me, if you're asking how what my perception is of it, virtually non-existent, because I've never really looked into it all that much. I've never picked up one of their albums, so I can't comment on any graphic on the inside of the case or anything like that. I don't know their album covers very well. In terms of their image as a band, yes, they pulled off what they were trying to do very well, but then when they went a bit hip and everything started happening, things got a bit weird, and it's just nothing on Avenged.
I mean, what fucks up their... I mean, even their image after the terrible Na 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 album came out,
with
all the red hair and the crazy wacky clothing, it's still a massive thing on their image. And Black Parade, that image was iconic. That would be seen anywhere in a Grebo crowd or an emo crowd.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with that on Sophie as well. So, who is your vote for image and artwork?
Avenged Sevenfold.
My Chemical Romance.
Interesting.
Yep.
2-1.
2-1.
Well, no, wait.
1-0.
1-0. Cancelled out. Fucking hell.
No, you're wrong. I am maybe doing that for argument's sake, but I'm also doing it because of their constant image as well as artwork. Like, whereas Avenged artwork is a lot better, there's not really an image now in terms of what they like, how they look. Right,
okay.
but
yeah.
MCR kept up with that, even if it went terrible.
Okay, no, that's a fair criteria to base your thing on.
Current relevance
undeniably huge.
for Avenged, yeah.
Well, for both,
actually.
Yeah, arguable, but I think always. Actually, no, I'm not sure if I want to say that. I was going to say I think always Avenged have had bigger relevance. But actually, at the time, perhaps not.
Well, back in 2007, they were headline download with the #1 album. Avenged were writing and about to release the self-titled. So, MCR back then, but fuck 2007. Current relevance. One band is not around, yet still very fucking relevant. One band is still around, is still and ongoingly fucking relevant. And still rising and headline down for the second time.
And are ascending into absolute godlike status in terms of
going back 2.5 hours to the news when, like we said before the podcast, not many bands get that cover album by Metal Hammer. I believe it's only Metallica, Maiden, and Slipknot.
So 3 massive fucking forces to be reckoned with within rock and metal.
Yeah,
and now Avenged are getting that.
Yeah.
And for that reason alone, I already know who I'm picking.
I'm going to go with Avenged Sevenfold.
I'm going to go with Avenged Sevenfold.
Avenged Sevenfold at 3rd place! I'm so excited on this one out.
But for the sake of jacking on some ball sacks, discography.
So, Sound of Trumpet, Waking the Fallen, City of Evil, self-titled, Nightmare, Hail to the King, The Stage. versus the first album by MCR, because I always forget the name of it. 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, The Black Parade, and Danger Days. One album went to shit with MCR.
In my opinion,
It could be argued that... Sorry, I went too fast. We'll go back to Avenged. Sorry, they were first. With Avenged,
yeah,
it could be argued that one went downhill.
a little bit.
Could be argued. Could be argued that it didn't start off too well either with the with Sound Seven Trumpet.
Yeah, I guess so. But for me, no, actually,
I love
that's
every
not-
album. I know
yeah,
I'm
that's-
biased in terms of loving albums.
That's
but
not fair for me to say, actually, because I probably would choose to listen to Hail to the King more now, but that's because I've listened to Sound of the Seven Trumpet lots over the years. It's one of my least favourite of theirs, which isn't saying much because I'm a pretty big fan of most of their albums. But yeah, they're pretty much the only two sort of slight dampeners for me.
I agree, Sophie. Funnily enough,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They've never done like a bad album. They've done 2 albums that I'm not as keen on as the rest. And that's that. Whereas MCR have done...
an absolute clusterfuck of their final album.
Yes, and...
2 great albums, in my opinion. A lot of the old school emos that back in the day, they preferred the first album to any of the others. I never really got into it.
Okay. I don't even...
Skylines and Turnstiles, was that a song? Either way.
I mean, I never really listened to it.
No.
Well, so in that sense, it obviously didn't have that much relevance with me.
I'd like to finish on this topic, to be honest. So who's your vote, please?
Avenged Sevenfold.
Avenged Sevenfold with 3-2-0. Avenged Sevenfold. For just the sake of, if it went to a fan vote, could you please pop it up?
I certainly can, except I already know who the fucking answer is, because we have decent fans. I really shouldn't say that. Sorry to anybody that did vote for... Whoa. Yeah, sorry to anybody.
Rob's watching.
I'm really not. I got a notification and I got excited. I can't even remember what I was saying.
It's down a fair bit because I can't change the pin post on my phone, and due to certain things that happened recently, my computer or a computer is not reachable.
I mean, nobody's actually liked it.
That's Avenged Sevenfold versus Slipknot. That's
Oh
go
my
a bit-
fucking god!
bit
Yeah,
further up.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's not the pin post. So yeah, go a bit further down. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, fair place. Here we go. So, had it gone to fan vote, unsurprisingly, Avenged Sevenfold 7, My Chemical Romance 2.
Hail to the King! I'll set for 3rd place. That'll deal.
Yeah, 100%.
So
That
Thank
is round filler of the Decipher tournament.
yes, we have crowned 3rd place, and we will do so with every single tournament going forward.
We will be back with the final at some point.
At some point in the next
We've
while.
got to give you guys plenty of time to vote because, you know, it's going to be fucking off the chain.
Off the chain. So, we thank you very much for joining us. It's been a controversial, not really controversial, but a big topic that needs to be discussed, and we've done it now. Again, we thank everyone that voted in that long vote.
100%, that was definitely our most popular vote so far.
Yeah, if you get that many votes for the fucking next album we do, that'd be great. So, next week.
Yes,
On
you
Monday.
are fucking fully hyped for this.
I'm
I can
fully
tell.
hyped for this. This is the first.
You've done good not even giving any of this away. Go for it.
This is the first of a 2-part topic. Well, first of all, the album, because it relates to this podcast.
Okay.
So next week, the album we're reviewing is by a band called Milk Teeth.
Interesting. I
And
feel like I recognise that name.
They are a punk band, so it's our first punk review, and they have a female member in it,
Excellent.
and they have male members in it.
Excellent.
So, Milk Teeth with the album Vile Child. That will be our review next week. And next week's topic is the first of 2 parts. However, it will be... Part 1 is a full part, and part 2 is the opposite full part. I'm so excited, I forgot the name of it. Next week, it's going to be the topic of Kieran versus Rob. Next week, I will be interviewing you.
On what?
I will be asking you... We're going to learn about you next week. We're going to go into a detailed history of you in terms of music, like your beginnings of music, what you like now, what you do with music,
Holy fuck.
and the insides of everything and why it is. what's influenced you as a person.
You can't just spring that on a guy.
Oh, I just sprung it.
Oh, you
And
just
then
sprung it.
the following week, it will be Rob versus Kieran.
In the sense of that
You
I'm
doing the
going
same
to
to me.
interview the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Within the bounds of music and metal and rock
So
and
are we
so on.
going to discuss now, after the podcast, during the week, what kind of criteria this is going to meet, or...
We'll discuss it after the podcast either way. And I'm not sure if I'm going to spring the questions off on you there and then. Or...
Save some for that. I'm happy for that.
Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm very excited.
I'm not. I'm
No,
a little
it's
bit
really
scared.
great. It's really fun.
I'm a little bit shitting myself.
I'll give you a basic outline. But yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
We love you all. And see you next week for number 19.
Oh, shit!